and his musical guest, Quinn Hills.
Live with Joe in the morning. Live with Joe and Quinn. It's time to do some silly stuff and play Minecraft, I guess. Live with Joe and Quinn. Good morning.
Good morning, Quinn.
Good morning, Joe.
Morning, Dan Grice. Not to be confused with vampire authoress Anne Rice.
You are probably not Anne Rice.
No. You don't write about a single vampire. I guess Anne Rice mostly wrote about vampires and relationships, so they weren't single.
Yeah, they were not single. No.
Yeah. I haven't actually ever read an Anne Rice novel, so maybe I'm being really unfair right here. Maybe there's a lot of nuance.
Have you ever interviewed a vampire?
No. Should I?
Probably.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that would really be... That's what the channel needs. More vampire interviews. How's it going? Morning, Dia Dragonflame. Welcome, Captain Dan. Captain Dan will watch a stream tonight. I don't think that I've even got the melody close. I don't.
Tiny Dancer, right?
Yeah. Hold me closer, Captain Jack. Take me to your special island.
Yeah, that's right.
It's been
The
a
Piano
busy
Man.
day today.
It's the Piano Man.
Oh my gosh. I didn't bring a sword. I'll take S words for 500, assuming I can remember to.
Shoot.
Yeah. Okay.
Suffering Succotash.
Uh-oh. That is, all suffering is undesirable, but when Succotash suffers, it truly
I
is a
don't know
waste.
that I've ever had Succotash, so I haven't personally made Succotash suffer.
I thought that Succotash was like a cabbage thing.
Yeah, isn't it a vegetable?
I think it's like kimchi. I think Succotash is basically like European kimchi. I think it's
I see.
I think it's a cabbage dish. Without it doesn't have the seasoning.
Okay. And it's not fermented.
No, it's not fermented, I don't think. So, but like, but I'm not. This is one of those things where I'm saying it, but the more I talk through something, like I kind of like justify it to the point where I'm like, yeah, that is right, yeah.
Yeah.
But as I'm saying this, I'm like, maybe that's not what succotash is at all. Maybe I'm thinking of what's that stuff that goes on bratwurst?
Sauerkraut.
Yeah, maybe I'm describing sauerkraut. Actually, Quinn in the research desk, can you find out what succotash is?
Succotash is a North American vegetable dish consisting primarily of sweet corn and lima beans. It's not its own like vegetable.
Oh, okay. So
it's the name of a dish.
Okay, so I'm like way off here. Okay, so sweet corn and lima beans. Huh. That's not what I would have guessed. Interesting.
After the abolition of slavery in the United States, freed, enslaved, formerly enslaved people in the American South returned to Africa and introduced the dish to the region, and today it is considered one of the national dishes of Equatorial Guinea.
Oh, there we go. I will say, I've never seen it on a menu anywhere. Like, I feel like if I had seen it
Yeah.
on a menu, I'd be like, well, I should try it at least once. Kindleus writes, "Good morning, Joe. Now that the Actor strike is over. Have you seen some good films? Oh,
You want a Coke?
maybe some fries. So
Have you seen any good films, Joseph?
So let's see. Well, we actually didn't mention that we had just seen a film together. That was the first concert film I think I've seen in a theater. Which was the Taylor Swift North American Tour Experience.
Oh yeah.
Which might not be the name of the film. I think I'm close though. I'm not trying to.
Is it Eras
Oh,
movie?
It might be called Eras the movie. Yeah. But
Eras the movie 2000,
okay.
perhaps.
I gotta say, that was the most intense thing I've ever That was probably the most intense theater going experience. I was so tired, and I'm always tired, but like
Yeah.
it was like exhausting to watch because
Okay.
I think so
I think it's intentional. It's Brechtian in that way.
I'm sure it's intentional, and there were a lot of there were two parts that were kind of exhausting. Like they were constantly doing stuff where I was like with
It was a concert, and they were constantly doing stuff.
and I was tired
And
of
I'm
it.
not
It was
supposed to.
too much stuff.
Yeah.
No, but they were constantly things were constantly happening on the screen where I was like, from a technical standpoint, I want to watch that again and see if I can figure out how they did it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
In
normal,
terms of like the production design and
yeah,
moving things.
yeah. Normally, if I'm watching anything that visually interesting,
Yeah.
I'm doing it like it was like it reminded me of like being back in like taking film classes.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Where I'm like, I should be taking notes. So I was constantly stressed out that I was like, I need to remember to go back and look at this. I need to go back and look at this. But I can't write anything down.
Yeah.
And, but we're eventually going to get it on, like, whatever digital format
Right,
it goes
and then
on
you
for
can
sale.
study it and write essays on,
Yeah.
on it.
But, like,
at that point.
so it was very well done. But, like, the other thing is, I've never, like, I can't think of any film experience where the same person is like the focus of the camera so much. Like it almost reminds
Sure.
me, like, have you ever, you know how like, okay, so like watching King Lear in Stratford
Yeah.
is like really intense because there's one actor who's basically Lear is carrying the production. Like same thing watching Hamlet, like where there's one guy who's just like constantly on stage doing stuff and barely gets any breaks, right? And just like the constant focus on one person doing that much stuff makes me tired. Like
Sure.
it's like an empathetic like, what, you know what, maybe we should all have a juice box, you know? Like
I was hoping for some kind of like backstage interludes, which I don't.
it was the concert
which like
experience,
she's
not the backstage
well, yeah,
experience.
she's not. Well, that's the concert experience for her, but
Mm-hmm.
she's not interested in lowering the veil or showing us behind the curtain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some behind the scenes stuff, seeing how they did some of it would have been cool, but like I feel like that's a different, like that's an add-on when you buy the DVD. That's not.
Well, there are a
movie.
lot of concert films that do that, though.
Well, so here's the other thing is, like, I almost would have thought that if she was going to do that, it would have ended up like a Weird Al style thing, where you think you're seeing how it really is backstage, but like it goes back there and there's like 15 of her in the different costumes, like sitting around reading magazines, and one of them comes in and is like, "You're up." Oh, okay, you know, it's like something where it's like, this is
For each era, there's a different
yeah,
tailor.
yeah.
that
So
comes
the
out.
idea is that all the tailors are down there, like in makeup, like getting their makeup done, or you know, the ones who are already done are like sitting in the garbage can, like Roy Trent with the Roy Kent with the, you know, ice or whatever.
Oi, you lot,
Get in there, you know.
go out there and sing that Bad Blood song.
Yeah. But yeah, I was kind of.
Oi.
But yeah, I would almost see her doing something where it's like it implies that there's more magic behind the curtain than there is in front of it.
Well, yeah,
If that
that
makes
would have
any
been great
sense.
too, and it would have given like more dynamics to what was otherwise just completely nonstop, like you were saying.
Yeah. Hey, we got 20 rolling in from Mahi Zero, our first tip of the day. We haven't even really talked about tips.
We haven't talked about tips.
But,
we haven't talked about goals.
Yeah, but let's go ahead and thank Mahi Zero, who writes, "Let's get the rotation started." The reason Mahi Zero writes that is we rotate the camera 1 degree angular for every dollar that rolls in. Mahi Zero says, also make sure you're rotating around the center and not a corner. I am. Thank you. And then also, yeah, so I should mention first, tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. Quinn and I split the tips 50-50 on these Thursday morning streams. Quinn had to drive all the way across town, suffering Nashville traffic, which is no joke.
No.
So, yeah, thank you very much, Mahi Zero, for kicking us off on tips. We do have certain tipping goals where when we hit them, we will be singing different songs.
Yeah.
What are we going to do at 180, Quinn?
At 180, we're going to do a song by Dolly Parton called Jolene.
Ooh, Jolene, that's a good one.
I'm singing that.
Yeah.
And what are we doing at 360, Joe?
You know, maybe sometimes we announce them both at once, but I'm actually realizing that my pick maybe is suboptimal because Jolene is such an iconic song, and now I'm thinking like, oh, there's another song.
Your pick isn't as iconic?
No, but there's one that's more thematically in line with it.
Oh my.
Give me a second while I'm trying to remember. I feel like there was something from the there was like a song in the Archer Country album.
How are people gonna know that more than the other song we had chosen previously?
Well, no, because the Outlaw Country album is it's basically Cheryl's character Charlene.
I know you've played it for
singing a bunch of real outlaw country songs. They didn't make the songs up for the show. But yeah, I'm trying to find the track list so I can remember the, because there's Charlene songs from the series Archer. Okay, yeah. So that's the name of the album.
No, if you click on the album, it'll show you what songs are on it.
It'll make me log into Spotify, which I'm not logged into though. Okay. Do you know Swing Shift?
No.
Okay. We'll save that for another day then. Swing Shift is
I know only maybe one of the songs on there. And
Is it Danger Zone?
Yes.
Honestly,
which we haven't done before.
Honestly, let's do. I think Beetlejuice Danger Zone would be pretty good.
I think it'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the people at home would know that one too.
Yeah. Let's see. By Kenny Loggins, who was actually on Archer.
Yeah.
As himself, and Archer spent the whole episode being like so excited, like Lotta, it's Kenny Loggins. Like, because you know how like in TV shows they always make a big deal of like it's famous country music star Kenny Loggins, blah blah blah. You know, just in case the audience doesn't know what a big deal he is.
I mean, he's a huge deal. Every time you're trying to get into your account online, it's because of Kenny Loggins.
We wouldn't have a Loggins prompt if it wasn't for Kenny.
Absolutely.
Okay. Interesting. It's always interesting which songs don't have the lyrics on YouTube or on Google. You know what I mean? Where you got to click through.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. I know these websites are not reliable either, which is really frustrating. Because there's always like, they basically put one wrong word in each song. So that way they can tell if somebody else stole, from their database.
Oh, I see.
And so it's like really frustrating because I'll be reading it and I'll get to a word and I'll be like, that's not right. And it like trips me up. I need to get the actual, like, what do you call those? Lyrics sheets.
Liner notes.
Lyrics,
yeah. Yeah. You need to have every album on hand.
Mm-hmm.
So you can read the lyrics from the source.
Yep. Hey, welcome, Grumpy Bunny. Grumpy Bunny writes, howdy, Hill siblings. Hope everyone's doing well today. Also, Mr. Hardluck writes, good morning, folks. Poor Queen Dark Lady is at school after pulling an all-nighter to finish a lab report. The important thing is that the lab report got finished.
Yay! The lab report is finished.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always one of those things where sometimes, like, teachers assign something, and then they're like, everybody's like, wow, that was the hardest thing you've ever assigned. To spend 8 hours on it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the teacher's like, wait, which part took that long? And then they're like, oh, that part of the instructions should have said this.
Yep. I've been there. I have been there.
But, like, you don't want... It's always so risky to be, like, the person who's like, I think that these instructions are wrong.
Yeah, because then the teacher might say, no, you're wrong.
You're wrong. You lazy bum.
You were born wrong, and you'll die wrong. I've had teachers tell me that plenty of times.
Thanks, teachers.
Thanks, teach.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, so Jolene and Danger Zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think they actually got Kenny Loggins for the Danger Zone Charlene song.
Why wouldn't you?
If you're already pals with him, yeah.
If you're already pals with him, if he's already on the payroll.
Yeah, like you have a working relationship with
Exactly.
Kenny Loggins, then you hire Kenny Loggins for stuff that's
Kenny
Yeah.
Loggins related.
Yeah.
You hire Kenny when you need Kenny. It's plain and simple, folks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so didn't Kenny Loggins also do "I'm All Right" from Caddyshack? I have never gotten all the way through that movie. Like, as a kid, I just didn't like golf enough. Like, I'd start watching it, and then I'd just be like,
I thought that movie was an adaptation of that Gopher game where you have like a mallet and you're
no good
hitting.
gophers.
Yeah, isn't that what that movie's about?
Oh, wait. No, you're talking about Whack-A-Mole.
Yeah, Whack-A-Mole.
Yeah, I'm surprised, with the Five Nights at Freddy's movie doing so well, they haven't made a Whack-A-Mole game.
Yep.
See, if I had
They did, they did Clue. They did, Battleship came out a few years ago.
See, if I had a serious YouTube channel, like, not whatever this...
There are plenty of
public
people
access
who have alternate YouTube channels.
No, I know, no, but what I mean is, like, if I actually had, like, a props department and, like, costuming and, like, if I had
employees,
like if I had
production company,
if I had production values, I would totally, like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I need to remake the Five Nights at Freddy's trailer shot for shot about Whack-A-Mole.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I would just totally, like, that would just be, okay, guys, this is what we're doing this week. We need a security guard costume. We need this. We need that. We need, like, go, like, but I'm like,
we need a lot of mole costumes.
Yeah, okay, here's what we need. We need some flats painted that look like the inside of an arcade. We need this. We need, but, like, I'm just, like, looking, I'm like, I know enough to think through. I can break down the steps to get this done and go, that's not a one-person job, and then just be sad. Like, hey, NJ.
Good morning, New Jersey coffee junkie.
Okay, yeah, so apparently that Five Nights at Freddy's movie did pretty well in theaters. I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah, that's the FNAF movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, like...
Seen things about it.
I think the last film I actually saw in theaters was that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 film, because that was for Amanda's birthday.
No, the last film you saw in theaters was Eras.
No. Well, I was that... Does that count as, like... I guess it was a concert film. But I was trying to think, like, the more, like... If you were going to say, like, non-qualified.
Fiction?
Yeah, last fictional film.
Sure.
Yeah.
Some would argue that Taylor Swift's
Eras
entire
tour is fictional.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Her essence, her being.
Mm-hmm.
It's a concoction, fabrication. Oh yeah, we saw Guardians 3.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Well,
Uh.
did we see Across the Spider-Verse after we saw Guardians 3?
I don't know. I left
It was around the same
I
time.
left the theater angry. I left the theater so angry I didn't like walk out of the movie early.
No, I remember. I recall.
I didn't walk out of the movie early. The movie walked out on me. I was
The movie
so
walked out on you early.
like they basically it was there's a difference between making the second film in a trilogy and just saying here's half of the second movie.
Yeah.
It did not end like I feel like they could have cut it if they wanted to have it kind of be on more of a cliffhanger or something. They could have
Sure.
cut it 15 minutes earlier, but it basically felt like they had a 15-minute trailer for the third movie at the end,
Yeah.
and instead of like, so it's just like, so great. Not only are you not going to end the story, but you're going to make me sit through an ad. Like it didn't feel like it was structured properly at the end, and it was so good up to that point. But there was a point where it stopped being a good movie and started being like a trailer for the next film, and I was like, please stop.
It's hard. Yeah, it's difficult. Once the next film is out and you can watch them back to back, maybe the experience will be better. But for now,
yeah,
it's tough.
I'm mad that like this could have been our Lawrence of Arabia complete with intermission.
Oh, you mean if they had just done both?
No, yeah, I literally think that the best artistic decision...
They could have just given it time too, because I don't know if you've read about it. They had so many crunch issues, and they were not treating their teams well.
That's the thing is, so they mistreated a bunch of people to rush out half a movie.
Yes.
Now I really like that half of a movie, but I'm still angry that they mistreated people and that it wasn't a whole movie.
Sure.
Like I would have watched a 4-hour Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Like,
I paid my money, and I'm going to see the whole movie.
And it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be real good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they just totally. It did not feel to me like, I don't know. It just felt like they dropped the ball at the end on that, and that really bothered me. So yeah. Okay, do we have smooth assault here?
I think the first one, Into the Spider-Verse, may remain to be my favorite Spider-Man film ever.
Oh, I absolutely love the first one.
Yeah, and then I really like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Yeah, I've only seen the first Tobey Maguire one, I think.
You should see 2, and I think 3 is better than people say it is, or that people recall it to be.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where like I never really got to it, you know.
Sure.
Okay.
There's a Bruce Campbell cameo in all of them, so gotta watch it for that alone.
Can you make smooth basalt by cooking it, Minecraft viewers?
Minecraft viewers, can you make smooth basalt?
Okay, you can craft it, it looks like. Okay.
Cooking it, oh, you can craft it, it looks like.
Badger says, howdy, Hills. Howdy, Badger Spanner.
Howdy, Badger. How are you, dear?
Hope you're spanning well.
Hope you're spanning and badging.
Mahi says, what's even more frustrating is with the Cross the Spider-Verse is they made edits between the theatrical release and the home video release. What?
That is true.
Why?
Not exactly clear.
What did they
one
do?
of the things they fixed is the audio mix. I don't know if you remember in the theater, there was a lot of dialogue that was just not mixed well, and so lines were kind of dropped and missed. So I know they fixed that. They even sent out a new edit while it was still in theater. Yeah, there's a lot of funkiness that could have been easily prevented by, just giving the movie more time to be made, and
But did they
not
edit?
making people work 14 hours a day on it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just. I really liked him catching all of the food, Tobey Maguire in the original Spider-Man. When somebody
In the cafeteria scene?
in the cafeteria.
It's Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Who trips, and her tray of cafeteria food goes flying into the air, and he catches the tray, and then he catches everything else.
And they said in the commentary that was a practical effect.
It took so many takes.
Yeah, they basically what they'd done was they coated the bottom of the tray with adhesive, so if he caught it, it would stay.
Yes.
It wouldn't bounce off. But basically they just threw this stuff in the air and had him try to catch it
Yes.
100, 200 times.
Yes.
And there was one time that he actually caught it all. And that's part of why he looks genuinely surprised when he catches it.
Yeah.
Because he genuinely was like, I've been doing it all day. I was like, what?
Yes.
But oh.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's one of those things, it looks so good.
It looks so good. It will always look good.
Yeah.
Because if they had done it using the CGI of the time, it would look horrible.
It would look horrible, yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah.
But yeah. Practical. Anytime you can do practical effects, do practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot cheaper, too.
Oh, I know.
Than hiring a whole team to work for months on... we need to get the CGI sandwich to look right for it to land on the tray, and what are all the physics of that? And no,
yeah, well, the guy who designed the Foo Fighters pinball machine, Jack Danger, he used to work as a CGI Yeah, he used to work as a CGI artist on the Marvel films, and he's like, in Iron Man 2, there's one part where Tony's boot fires. When he's not wearing it or something like that, or I forget what it is. He's working.
Well,
on
it's because he's making a newer iteration of the suit after he's back from the Middle East.
Yeah,
and there's a boot that's malfunctioning and starts kind of flying by itself.
Yeah, and
right?
and Jack Danger was like, I spent 18 months of my life on that one boot.
On the one boot.
That was every day. I clock in. I work on the boot, I clock out. I come back the next day and I work on the boot, and that was it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's you could have just constructed a metal boot and put it on wires and had some pyrotechnics coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, would have taken some prep time, but it wouldn't have taken 18 months.
No. NJ says, will I be disappointed when I watch the home version of Spider-Verse? Well, here's my advice is I would wait to watch Spider-Verse until the third one comes out.
Yeah.
Because
watch it the week you're going to see the third one.
It's an incredibly well-made film that's missing the back half. I was furious that they didn't.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff in that film.
They could have put in an intermission and sold more popcorn. Especially a lot more movie theaters have bars now.
Yeah.
The idea of having an intermission in the middle of a movie. Yeah, watch the first one, but don't watch the second.
But also maybe you would enjoy it more knowing, I'm only getting half of a movie. Maybe you won't be as let down as Joe was.
Yeah. Aurelia Navarra says, I must have my volume up too loud. When y'all mentioned Jack Danger, there was an incredulous voice from the next room. Oh, you're not married to Jack Danger, are you?
We'll be going to the danger zone.
Speaking of Kenny Loggins.
If If our tips hit 360, we'll be going to the danger zone.
Danger zone if we hit 360 on tips. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to.
Where are we now? 20?
Yeah, we're at $20. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/Joe Hills and YouTube Super Chat. Captain Dan says CGI Sandwich is a fantastic band name.
Yeah, this is a good band name.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Oh.
We're CGI Sandwich!
We're CGI Sandwich and we're here to rock! Yeah, you know, I'm actually really disappointed when I found out that,
CGI Sandwich.
I didn't realize that the actress who played Kim Pine in the, Scott Pilgrim movie was the same lady from
Alison Pill.
Yeah, I didn't realize she was the same one in the Picard show.
Yeah, and she's on the Newsroom. Did you ever watch that, Sorkin?
No, I need to watch the Newsroom. So I was actually thinking about rewatching, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip since
Yeah, I
Matthew
was
Perry
thinking
just
about
passed away.
rewatching that too.
Did you ever watch Matthew Perry's show about the stadium? It was weird.
No, I actually only ever watched him on Studio 60.
So
And that was my introduction to him.
So I think the name of the show is Mr. Sunshine, and it's one of the strangest shows because it was basically Matthew Perry. Yeah, no, that is the opening theme is Mr. Sunshine. Yeah.
That's the whole
That's
theme?
the whole theme. It's
Mr. Sunshine.
Yeah, so the idea was that Matthew Perry's character was like in charge of operations for this stadium called the Sunshine Bowl or whatever.
Sure.
And the show is set up like Studio 60 where they're constantly like, okay, we got a hockey game, we got to swap out, we got to get the ice in. Where's the ice guy? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, then the next day there's a concert and they got to swap out everything. You know,
I can never find a good ice guy.
But so the thing is, it's basically like a remake of Studio 60 without Aaron Sorkin. It's basically Matthew Perry, like I think he was the showrunner. He pitched the whole show top to bottom.
Oh, okay.
And he was like
He pitched the show as it's Studio 60 in a stadium.
yeah.
And I don't know why he would lead with it's Studio 60 because that show was not successful.
No. No. I don't think he pitched it as Studio 60, but basically, it's got the most Sorkin-esque writing of any show that doesn't have Sorkin on it. Like it seems like Matthew Perry was just like, I miss Studio 60, and he hired a bunch of the people that he had worked with, like Allison Janney is in there, like people who he had worked with on other like
Allison Janney, CJ.
Other people who had worked on like Sorkin shows were there too. But yeah, so
There have been 3 television shows named Mr. Sunshine.
Yeah, it's the one with Matthew Perry in it. Okay, yeah, it's called Mr. Sunshine with Matthew Perry. I'm not making this up. This is sounds
I'm reading about it on Wikipedia.
It sounds like a fake thing.
It aired in 2011.
Yeah, it aired in 2011. I watched it as it was airing. But yeah,
13 episodes were filmed, but only 9 were aired because it was canceled mid-season.
Yeah. But it was a weird show. Morning, Chloe the Great and Powerful. Glad you could join us. But
Good morning.
Nola writes, funny band names. Dave Grohl was briefly in a band called Late, so they could open their show by announcing, "We're late!" That's pretty good. But yeah, it's interesting seeing how he attempted, because sometimes I'll watch something like something like by Sorkin and be like, ooh, how would I make a Sorkin show? If
A lot of walking and talking.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing. That's, I think, why he put it in a stadium, because that's the thing is all of the characters are constantly having to navigate all of the tunnels and all of the,
Sure.
they're it's such a huge space for them to do these walk and talks through.
Right.
It's very frenetic, but it was really interesting. As like a study in making a TV show. But I understand why it was canceled. I liked it, but like I also could appreciate like, okay, they're trying to do a lot of things and failing at them. I appreciated that they were trying so hard, but other
Yeah.
people might only
Well,
see
and
the
it looks
failure.
like the pilot episode was directed by Thomas Schlamme,
Mhm.
whose name you might recognize because he was an executive producer on The West Wing, Studio 60, was the director on Sports Night.
Yeah.
Like, so he was trying to do this style.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was very intentional.
It was absolutely intentional. It was, which is part of what made it so interesting. It's like, oh boy, this is something here. But yeah, I really recommend. I don't know, even can you even buy that on like iTunes and stuff? Like, so sometimes when shows get canceled like that, they disappear.
It was on DVD.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. Let me look it up. Let me see where we can find this. And I know Studio 60 you can purchase. Studio 60 is no longer streaming anywhere, I don't think, but you can purchase it on iTunes.
Yeah.
Least.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind rewatching Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. I don't know.
Okay, Mr. Sunshine you can purchase on iTunes, Google Play, blah blah blah. All those.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like this is. I was watching the show and I was just like, it feels like So I don't know if you're familiar with one of the ideas in Star Trek is that Earth has actually Earth's culture, like artistically, you know how they had like the whole eugenics wars and stuff,
Sure.
like with Khan and everything. So basically, pre-Khan was the height of Earth culture.
Oh yeah.
Because after the eugenics wars, everybody's just focused on survival up until they meet the Vulcans.
Right.
And at that point, most Earth art is basically reinterpretations or translations of alien art. And so there's this huge era post First Contact of all of these, like, Earth all of a sudden has access to tens of thousands of plays, but they're in like alien languages. And
Right.
so human playwrights are, primarily focused on retellings of alien stories at that point, not necessarily writing original human stories.
Sure, because it's it's so much less expensive just to simply just adapt pre-existing material.
Yeah, and this is part of why they're so big on like Shakespeare and stuff like that, is because there's kind of this like renaissance of like back to old Earth basics, like
Oh, if you like Shakespeare, you should hear it in the original Klingon.
Yeah, yeah, because and this is the sort of thing, like they don't talk about it extensively, but like Bashir and the Doctor argue about it. Like there's snippets of conversation kind of throughout Deep Space Nine about like how Earth, like Cardassia, like Cardassia still has its culture. They didn't let First Contact.
Earth culture is just recycled.
Yeah, it's Earth culture is recycled old Earth culture, or it's variations of alien stories, whereas Cardassians are still producing Cardassian art. They didn't let First Contact obliterate their identity.
Right.
Granted, they didn't have the eugenics wars wipe out like 95% of the population first either, though.
Sure, that was a tough time.
Yeah, because that's one of the things about Star Trek too, is as well, is it's like, wow, how did people get so optimistic and like everything? It's like, well, they really hit rock bottom first,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going somewhere.
The night is always darkest before the dawn.
I'm trying to go somewhere with this. So anyway, what I was saying though,
I have
is
no idea where you're going.
watching
with this.
Mr. Sunshine
Okay.
felt like an alien's attempt to take the
Sorkin.
concept of Sorkin and retell it.
Okay.
Like, it felt like, instead of, like, hey, this isn't an Aaron Sorkin show. This is, like, an Andorian Sorkin show.
Sure.
This is a post-First Contact attempt to retell Sorkin, which is weird. That's not normal.
No, it's not.
But, like, yeah, one of the most interesting shows I've ever watched, although not one of the best shows I've ever watched. Chad, thank you for tipping 20, who writes Happy Thursday. Thank you so much, Chad.
Thursday, Chad.
Rotating the camera 20 degrees angular. Do-do-do-do. Anybody else who'd like to tip? Just as a reminder, we're splitting those 50-50. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/showhills and YouTube Super Chat. Okay. Callie Kotke says, I agree with the Spider-Verse thing. Me and my boyfriend watched it on premiere day, and he was furious how it ended. It felt more like a prelude to a movie than an actual movie, as great as it was. Yeah, that's the thing, is if it wasn't so amazing, I wouldn't be so annoyed. But when something is that good, it's like, you almost did everything right. Why not just do everything right? Why do 95% of everything right, and then the last part just go, screw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of people compare it to the ending of Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
But I don't feel like Empire is like as inconclusive as this ended. Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't think so at all. Well, the thing is, though, Empire Strikes Back kind of told a whole story.
Exactly.
Like, this was paced like the first half of a long movie.
Right.
This wasn't...
There's a difference between, like,
Empire
telling a full story for a film, but you know there's still something unresolved.
Mhm.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That happens.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I've been revisiting...
Versus just, like, here's half of a movie.
Yeah, and I've been
Deal with it.
revisiting this concept by rereading, like, as books on tape while I'm working on other stuff, the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson, which he kind of envisioned originally as a trilogy of trilogies. He's like, there's going to be 3 major time periods on this planet, like 3 major historical shifts. And I'm going to tell one story in a 3-book thing, then we're going to jump forward. Like, basically, one of them is going to have, like, basically, like, Victorian era technology, like pre-electric.
Sure.
Right, like medieval technology to, like, 1700s. Like, they don't have trains yet.
Yeah.
But, like, they have, like, pocket watches, you know, type of thing. Like, medieval technology trilogy, and then he's like, so then we're going to jump to the 1980s level of technology and have, like, another kind of, like, world-changing series of events with another trilogy.
Right.
And then we'll have another trilogy in the far future when they're, like, part of, like, a galaxy-spanning empire. And, you know, talking kind of about, like, the idea is, like, to see how a culture evolves over time. And he ended up, he's like, because this is the sort of guy he is, he ended up, kind of going like, oh, you know what? Between the medieval to 1980s jump feels like too much. I should write a side story real quick that's set in, like, right after they have, like basically when they get trains, automobiles, and electricity.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he's, like, working on this side story, and he accidentally turned it into 4 books. And so
It's supposed to be a trilogy.
It's supposed to be a trilogy of trilogies, and he's added a 4th segment with, that he was originally, he's like, this will be a short story. This will be 1 book. This is gonna be 3 books. And then he's like, he's writing the 3rd book, and he's just like, this should be 4 books.
Should be 4.
But the thing is, though, like, each of the books in his... So even though he's got kind of this sprawling story that he doesn't have good discipline about... I think he has good instincts, though. I think, you know, I don't think he was wrong to do these. but the thing is, he wasn't stretching out the story. He wasn't watering down the story. He was just kept discovering more story. But each book feels like its own adventure. It feels like a story with a beginning, middle, and end. And because it's part of this kind of timeline of global events, though, there's always, well, what are the implications? We'll find out in the next book. Right? There's always interesting implications to the conclusion of each story that make you say, ooh, I can't wait for the next book. But the story has a conclusion.
Yes.
In each case.
Exactly.
In a way where you're like, wow, they accomplished their goals, or the events all played out in a way that makes sense. Like, they were trying to find this thing. They found it. It wasn't exactly what they expected, and they might have made things worse.
Yeah.
In a way that's kind of like Empire Strikes Back, like, ooh, we're ending on a low note here. But the book was about them trying to find a thing.
Mm-hmm.
They found it.
Exactly.
They used it.
Yes.
And it wasn't just like, oh, it ends on a cliffhanger with them finding it. It's like they found it and they used it, and the implications of that are starting to become clear, and everybody's panicking. And okay, what do we do now?
Exactly.
So then the third book is, okay, now that we have, what do we do next? How do we fix this? So like, yeah,
it can be done.
Yeah, I'm really happy about it. But yeah, yeah, Alpacatastic says Empire had a much tighter ending. Yeah. A lot of people are saying that the eugenics wars and World War III in Star Trek are distinct wars, and that I'm conflating the death toll from the two. Okay, fine. Yes.
How dare you?
Yeah, sorry. So it's fine.
It's fine.
Rex Verdi says Sanderson has a compulsion to write and had said so. He gets, when he has an idea, he must write it out. It's called graphomania. The thing is, I really, like, if people want to explore, like, how to tell stories that connect with each other, I don't think there's anything better to read than Sanderson. Because he sets a high bar.
Cause it sounds like as much as he has a compulsion to write, he must also have a great compulsion to edit, because it sounds like everything you've told me about is written very well and is excellently told. He's not just a guy who's rambling.
No, and I will say that's like, he actually is really, he does like a weekly update where he basically breaks down like, hey, here's how I spent my week.
Right.
And he'll be like, okay, so, in the mornings I wrote X thousand words of this next book.
Right.
In the afternoons I met with the editorial team and we're rewriting this book. Because so basically, yeah, he does a full, like, first draft, and then he has like a team of like a dozen alpha readers. And as well as like an editor over them, and they all read the book, put notes, questions, whatever. Sure. Then the editor compiles all of that and then meets with him, and then he'll rewrite portions of the book and tighten things up. And if there's anything where the reader's just like, hey, how come they don't just do this? He might go, oh, maybe they should have just done this. Let me add a reason they didn't do that. Like, that sort of thing. And so he's got. That's the thing, too, is he's good at hiring people to manage people, which is a hard thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's got teams within teams that work for him, helping him focus on getting stuff made.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
He writes trilogies of trilogies and has teams of teams.
Yeah. It's just Sanderson all the way down. But, yeah, it's good
very
stuff.
Very good at compartmentalizing.
Yeah, and departmentalizing.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm really impressed. The more of his stuff I read, like, I don't know if you ever got a copy of Tress of the Emerald Sea.
I do have a copy of it. I just need to tackle it.
Yeah, that's I think
the main thing.
That's one of the best books of his to just jump in on, in terms of like kind of setting the tone for everything.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot more upbeat than some of his books. I mean, because like, you know, like the first Mistborn book is basically, or the first Mistborn trilogy is about the end of the world. It's like, it's bad. Like,
Yeah.
like just the body count in this is just like huge by the end.
Sure.
You know, it's very dire. You know, and so, yeah. But whereas Tress and the Emerald Sea, it's like, some ships get sunk, but like, what does that have? Like 200 people on it? That's
Sure.
very low body count by Sanderson standards. Standardsons? I don't know.
Standardsons. And practices.
Yeah.
What are you doing in Minecraft today?
I'm trying to work on installing the pop bumpers, but I keep realizing there's steps that I haven't done yet. Like I was like, okay, I want to make these out of smooth basalt, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't cook the smooth basalt yet. I'm like, oh, I need to move these. I need to make these move the wooden rings out wider. It's like, okay, I have to do that real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome, Space Demon.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm worried these pop bumpers might be a little close together, but at a certain point, we just gotta get it done. Okay, I need a Silk Touch pickaxe too. Oops. Okay. So Quinn, you've got a new album you've hinted at or teased, or new single. Sorry. Yeah.
I have a new single coming out tomorrow.
Coming out tomorrow. If people wanted to find that, you sent me the link. I should remind people that they can get that.
The song is called "A Prayer for Nobody." Yeah, there's the hyper follow DistroKid link.
Yeah. Quinn's
you can pre-order
single
it.
drops tomorrow.
You can pre-order it on Bandcamp.
I'm gonna pin this just so that people can find it. Pin message. Okay. Anything else that you can talk about publicly you're working on?
I'm just writing a bunch of songs, so
That's fair.
they'll all come at some point.
Tango.
Tango has entered the game. Tango is here. Tango is here. Tango, we're singing about you being here. Tango.
Tango.
Tango
Has arrived.
has arrived. Ooh, you've arrived. Tango has arrived.
I'm like 55% sure they have those. They have guitarists in Europe, right? Yeah, I've seen them in Metalocalypse. Yeah, because Toki and Swizgar are both from Europe.
Well, they're from Europe, but they have to come to America. Do you understand?
Oh yeah,
Like you
'cause
can't
Toki
be
was
you can't
cast
be a
out
guitarist
in
Europe.
Europe. Okay. Yeah, so Doc is not going to be able to hire a guitarist unless he.
That's why in the 1960s there was an entire British invasion in our country.
Oh yeah.
Because they weren't welcome in Europe.
See, I actually know
understand?
what year that is because it's on the drop targets in the Beatles game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they specifically, when they got the license to the Beatles, they were like, what, like, how do we pick, like, what era, or, the Beatles did so much, right?
Sure.
How do we...
So much in a short amount of time.
Yeah, and they're like, let's do the British invasion, 1969.
No.
What? No?
The table says 1964.
Does it? Oh,
Yes.
Whoops. Then I don't know. I know it's on the table. I know where to look.
Like the Beatles were wrapping up.
No, you're right. It does say
1969.
1964.
Yeah.
Yeah, dang it. Okay.
That's all right.
It's fine. But I knew it was on the table.
It's not, you were in the right decade.
I was in the right
But
decade.
in terms of, I don't know, the general vibe was very different, 1964 to 1969.
Mm-hmm.
Very different. They were the long-haired, mustachioed Beatles in 1969.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't the mop-top suit-wearing boys.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like bands wearing suits will come back eventually.
I mean, it has to a degree. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happens.
Okay.
I'd wear a suit on stage.
Mm-hmm. Q91 says, any decked out today? Been watching your runs and love them. Shame you don't get all the way down to level 4 yet. Well, I almost got to level 4 yesterday. I was outside the door.
Oh my gosh. You were very close.
And I couldn't get a key. I was like running loops around level 2, like getting shot at by Davy Bones, who is a skeleton. Hence his name.
Does he have a locker?
He actually does. It keeps him in it, though.
Oh, okay.
It's Davy Bones' locker is his prison.
Davy Bones' locker is his prison. I fear he'll be trapped there for many, many more years. Oh, Davy Bones, pick up the phone. We just want to know that you're okay, Davy Bones. Where are we at tip-wise?
Tip-wise,
What are
we are at 40 degrees angular. We're 140 away from our first milestone goal.
Which is Jolene.
Jolene by Quinn Hills.
Jolene. You know, Jolene.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also any time when your body is tilted slightly to the side.
Eileen.
No, that's a different name.
I got rotated. Now I'm leaning this way. Is there any movement on the new Game of Thrones book? Like, that's an honest question. I'm not trying to make fun of the guy. I was like, I just haven't heard. Like,
I think he has whatever the opposite of graphomania is.
yeah, graphophobia.
Graph depression.
Yeah,
He's not compelled to write.
yeah,
Which I've been there before. I understand it, and he's probably pretty well off. He's probably comfortable.
mm-hmm.
He doesn't need to write.
Yeah,
He might have some kind of obligations contract-wise, but he probably has the money to break his contract.
mm-hmm.
So why bother, right?
Yeah.
He's lived a life.
It seems like the publisher would probably maybe they'll I mean, I don't think he's actually that old. Like, he looks old, but like,
You think he's like 30 something?
I think, I mean, I think he's like 50 or something.
I don't know. No.
How old do you think George R.R. Martin is? Before
I
we look
think
it up.
he's 72.
Age 75. Okay.
Okay.
So,
He was born in Jersey,
yeah.
the state. Not the... Son of a longshoreman.
Hey, we got a new tip rolling in. We got 5 rolling in from Roberta, who says, just got the Jolene reference. I'm not awake yet, but that's funny. Well, thank you.
Wow.
Let's lean Joe and Quinn another 5 degrees angular here. Do. Bringing us to 45 degrees angular. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/Joe Hills and YouTube Super Chat. Okay. But yeah, there's I'm trying to think if there's any books coming out soon that I'm particularly looking forward to that are not written by Brandon Sanderson. I'm looking forward to the new
George
game.
R.R. Martin.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the new Game of Thrones whenever it comes out, but that's like who knows. Hey, we got a tip rolling in from Shifty Pumpkin for 30 who says, let's get more tilted.
Let's get more tilted.
Rotating to 75 degrees angular.
Rotating to 75 degrees angular.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder what Dennis E. Taylor is up to. He writes the
Don't know him.
Bobaverse series.
Oh, Bobaverse. You've told me about that.
Yeah. Status of thing. Oh, his website's down. So that doesn't speak well. Okay, here it is. As of 2023
Oh, that's only a month ago.
October, yeah.
Yeah, that's recent.
Bobaverse. Audible gave acceptance of the Book 5 manuscript, so it's off to production. Release schedule is a big concern. Oh, Lord Miller Productions has optioned Bobaverse series for films.
Interesting.
So that's cool. Okay. Yeah, Ray Porter reads all of Dennis Taylor's books. He's so good. Like, I really really appreciate how much effort goes into being a good book on tape reader.
Sure.
Mind of Me says, Joe, did you ever read the Dresden Files books? Because you mentioned watching the TV series. I never got around to it, although I think James Marsters reads the books on tape for that.
Spike?
Yeah, Spike from Buffy, which is a good reason to actually go in and, get into those.
Get into those, yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
so the problem is when somebody has like 35 books in their series, I'm kind of like, you know what? I feel like I'm going to save that for when I really need it. Like, because I'm going to be at some point in my life where it's like, okay, I've got to drive cross country with a, like moving or something.
Sure.
Like, I tend to like put stuff like that in kind of a separate queue for like when I'm going to have some sort of interminable task. And yeah. Joju says, if you could do an audiobook reading for any book or author, what would it be? Honestly, I had so much fun. I did a reading of the first 2 chapters of Tressa of the Emerald Sea on stream. But like the thing is that, I mean, they don't need the guy they have doing them is great. They don't need a different guy. I'm not saying like, I could do better than him.
Hills.
Yeah. It's like that guy
You
nails
wouldn't
it.
say no if it were offered.
But like, yeah, so that's the thing though, is realistically almost any book that exists doesn't need me to be the audiobook author because they've already recorded one. I can't, like, Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, what would be... FYI, the Dresden Files are not well numbered, so having a list apart from your audiobook app is good to make sure you get the listening order. Ah, thank you, Rex. Good to know. Drew Baca says, Dresden Files is a quick read for like 20-something books, that is, and they stay pretty consistently good as you go. Well, that's good. Morning, Technologic.
Good morning, technology.
But yeah, I mean, I haven't really gotten to see much James Marsters since he was in Torchwood, so it would be cool to pick that up and
Sure.
enjoy that. Mind of Me says, I mentioned Jim Butcher because he has book 2 of his other series coming out, the Cinder Spire series, and it would 100% be your jam. So in some ways, jumping in on book 2 of a new series by the Dresden Files guy sounds a lot more appealing than trying
to do 20.
Yeah, like that just doesn't. Yeah.
Sure.
It's a different thing. Okay, so we're flying up here a little bit. I wonder what Andy Ware is up to. I really liked his Project Hail Mary, but let's see. Does he have a blog where he posts upcoming stuff? No. Boom, 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 boom.
Well, Project Hail Mary came out fairly recently, right?
Yeah.
So
he's probably
back to work.
yeah.
On
He's
something new.
not one of those guys that like talks too much about upcoming projects.
Sure.
I'm a process person. I love when people talk about process. I love DVD extras with the directors. I love blogs by authors where they talk about their stuff. That's one of the things I liked about Dennis D. Taylor and Sanderson in particular, was that they both are really big on, like, hey, here's what I'm working on. Here's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and it demystifies things for people who maybe have thought about doing something similar creative themselves, but who are daunted by it because they look at someone's writing and say, well, it's so flawless, it's so perfect, but they don't see that, he's hired a team of editors and they're like, dude, this makes no sense.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is like, so a lot of his books are kind of about, like, they're set in like pivotal moments in like the different planets' histories in his cosmology. But basically, there's a line in Tress of the Emerald Sea that's kind of a throwaway joke, where the narrator's just like, this was the most preposterous thing I'd ever heard someone say out loud. And I was part of a 17-person conspiracy to murder God. But basically the idea is that before the books started, like before the books happened, 17 people murdered God, and 16 of them took up parts of his essence, like cultivation, ruin, honor, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And one of the narrator of Tress of the Emerald Sea was the only person who basically didn't take a piece for himself, and he ended up becoming functionally immortal just from being there when this happened. I say functionally immortal. I think he I think
He
he's
is immortal.
No, I think he actually is truly immortal. Like there are ways. A lot of the
When you say truly immortal, do you mean like
okay,
indestructible as well?
yeah. Because like
Because elves are immortal, but they can be killed.
yeah. So there are
not,
some
like,
there are some characters in the books who are like they're functionally ageless.
I see.
They're functionally immortal if they're ageless, and it's like, well, they can live forever as long as they have access to this magic or this power or whatever.
Sure.
Whereas there's nothing that you could necessarily take away from this guy to kill him.
Mhm.
You could take away food, water, air, but he's not gonna die.
Oh, right, because you've told me about him like walking across the ocean.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, like-
walking under the ocean.
Yeah, like it's like one of those things like, okay, so I might have to walk across the bottom of the ocean for
Yes.
2 years to get there,
To
but
get someplace.
I could do it.
Yeah, I have time.
I don't want to.
Sure.
It's gonna be boring.
Yeah.
You know.
But I
but-
can do it.
But yeah. So like basically though the premise is though that a bunch of the different shards of like different representations of aspects of God went off and founded their own. They went off to different solar systems and made their own peoples and planets and whatever in like that reflected some element of what they wanted to do. Now, like in the Mistborn setting, ruin and preservation, because neither of them could create life that changed on their own, work together to create a solar system. But anyway, so like each of the solar systems has its own magic system based on kind of the god that created them or gods that created the people there. And so a lot of the books is the characters trying to or the characters discovering like over time more about the fundamentals of how the world works and unleashing more powerful magics and stuff. And so the problem is that these systems need to be logically coherent for it to be a good mystery story or a good engineering story. The characters have to be understanding things that actually work. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so one of the reasons Sanderson has to have so many people reading his stuff is so they can go, okay, well, here are 8 different perpetual motion machines that you could create with this magic. Is that okay? Like, these people should never not have free energy for whatever they need if this is the case, unless you put some sort of constraint on this, you know? So it's like, here are the logical and engineering problems of what you're doing. But yeah. Okay, so we've got a tip rolling in from Al for 15. Thank you very much, Al. That's going to bring us up to 90.
Al. Halfway there to 180.
Yeah. One book I've been meaning to reread but haven't gotten to is I want to reread Jurassic Park and The Lost World, which I guess is 2 books.
2 books.
Yeah, 2 books by Michael Crichton.
2 books for the price of 2.
Yeah. Because I read them when I was in high school. Chloe the Great and Powerful says, I love fantasy engineering. Yeah, that's one of the things that Sanderson is the best at, is he'll create the magic system, and then he'll really have the world reflect its consequences. And so, you know, like in one place, it might be practically free to send messages anywhere because of just the nature of the magic system. But in another place, it would be very challenging. Or, like the sorts of political and governmental structures that rise up also are generally logical results of like, hey, you know, this magic system creates or you know, puts gives certain people abilities that could be used to justify suborning a population. You know, or hey, it would be very hard to be a dictator on this planet because every single person can do X, Y, or Z.
Right.
Joju says, I love taking systems to extremes like that. Where do I start? Tress of the Emerald Sea would be my recommendation, as that one's more of a fun swashbuckling story. Not all of his stories are as fun with the swashbuckling. But if you're really into, I mean, I was gonna say if you're really into magic systems, though, the thing is, all of his books have such great magic systems. But another one that's really good as an entry level one is Warbreaker, which is I really like I like Game of Thrones type stuff with a lot of political intrigue, but I hate when everybody is like trying to scramble for power. I prefer things like The Expanse or Warbreaker, where a lot of the characters are actually trying to figure out how to maintain a tenuous peace.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're just like, okay, this situation's a powder keg, and obviously stuff is still gonna go wrong, and they're gonna slide into, there's gonna be violence in the stories, but like the characters are not like, okay, how do we come out on top here? It's what's the best way? How can we avoid the most loss of life, right?
Yes.
Which is never a concern in Game of Thrones. Nobody cares. They like, that's constantly a thing. Is like, the great houses are spokes on a wheel that crushes the little folk.
Yep.
Welcome,
That's how
RP.
the world works.
Yeah. But yeah, Warbreaker is much more political than a lot of his books, whereas Tress of the Emerald Sea is much more focused on, like, one person swashbuckling, which is fun. Yeah, I know what the standard galactic alphabet is, Emilian. It was from Commander Keen.
Yup. Big keen heads around here.
Mm-hmm.
Early Apogee.
id Software, and yep, that was John Carmack's baby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's gone on to do a lot. He's the person that was just like yelled at the Facebook people, like, you can't not work with Microsoft because they have Minecraft, and if you don't do Minecraft in VR, you're wasting VR.
Absolutely. Yeah. John Carmack, the
He-
Doom guy.
Yeah, he actually was the keynote speaker at Minecon Anaheim.
Were you there?
I was there, and it was funny because they kept flashing the lights at him to get off the stage, and he's like, I didn't work this hard to get off the stage when I still had things to say. Deal with it.
Yeah, you don't push John Carmack off the stage.
He's like, yeah. Because like I was actually like, I was in the like Minecraft content creator area or whatever, like, which we had like the first 8 rows. And so I was like right at the front, and I could see like there's like, I could see the clock.
Yeah.
That he could, like, because they had like clocks around that he could see, and they kept flashing the clocks red when it was like, it was past 0 for a while, and they started flashing those red, and then they started flashing the house lights, and he's just like, look, I saw that we're over, but they deal with it. Like,
right, and I'm sure there's some other speaker panel that needs to go on afterwards.
but like, I mean, they had like a 2-hour reset time before the next thing, which granted, like, they needed to like move in a bunch of furniture and do a bunch of stuff for the next, like, it was a full set change, but like,
Sure.
still, it's like, I'm the keynote speaker here.
Exactly.
I'm gonna talk until I'm done talking. Mahi says, I'm surprised you read Jurassic Park in high school. Crichton was my first adult author. I started reading his books in middle school. Well, the first time I read Jurassic Park and The Lost World was in middle school.
You're surprised.
I'm saying I reread them in high school,
I see.
and I haven't read them since.
I see. Yeah, because Mahi Zero is saying, wow, you read those in high school? Those are middle school books, dude.
Yeah, I read in 6th grade, I read both of his Jurassic Parks. I read The Great Train Robbery. I read Sphere. He had a bunch of stuff at the library because he was pretty popular at the time. I don't.
Arguably still fairly popular, I would suppose.
I'm not sure if he's still popular, because like a lot of times they try to push living authors more.
There's that whole TV show Westworld
Oh, that's true.
that was based on his work.
I haven't actually read the book Westworld. I probably should. Okay. Dwubaka Whites. OMG, I forgot how much I enjoyed Timeline. I don't think I read Timeline. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we have the scaffolding in place here while the rest of the basalt cooks. Wait, which it should be done by now. I think those chunks are loaded over there. Yeah. So, speaking of going to conventions and stuff, just as a reminder, Vintage Beef and I will be at PAX Unplugged, which takes place December 1st through 3rd. You can buy your badge at unplugged.paxsite.com. Sunday morning, which is December 3rd, Beef and I will be doing a card signing. We'll be autographing stuff, and we'll be doing a panel as well. The Sunday is also when they have a discount on kids badges. So if you were thinking about bringing your kids, you're like, oh, this is too expensive to get three-day passes or whatever. With 2 kids and an adult, that's a lot of money. Well, if you get the Sunday-only badges for kids are $13 each. So, and that's the day Beef and I are doing our signing and our panel. So, hope you have the chance to bring your family to Philadelphia to meet Beef and I. I will be there all weekend playing games with fans and stuff. Beef is going to be there mostly on Sunday because he has some obligations at home he has to take care of. So he's going to be flying in and flying back out. But it should be a lot of fun. I'm hoping to get to play TCG with some people in real life now that I'm going to have, my cards. And you'll have your cards. It'll be great. Okay. PAX Unplugged. Okay. Bum bum bum. I'm trying to find an empty box here, and of course these all have stuff in them. Oh, we did need that though. And I need those. You know what? Let's maybe take this stuff out and consolidate a little bit. Okay. Welcome, Kurt. Glad you could join us. Oh, did you see that there was a tweet the other day that starts with "This is Miyamoto"?
This is Miyamoto.
Miyamoto.
Shigeru.
Yeah, so the thing is, like, some companies, they'll have, like, if somebody's writing a tweet, like, they'll have, like, dash, then the person's initials at the end of it.
Right.
But Nintendo normally doesn't say who's tweeting for them. It's like some product marketing person or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
But they had a tweet that opens with, "This is Miyamoto." and it continues to announce that they're making a Legend of Zelda film.
I saw that, yes.
I'm very excited about
Well,
that.
I didn't see the tweet. The tweet's amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's very assertive. This is Miyamoto. I am pleased to announce we are beginning production on Legend of Zelda film. So the person that they're working with did the Maze Runner films, which I haven't seen.
I think I saw one or two of those. Yeah.
So hopefully it's a good fit. I'm not sure, like, if you're going to do a Zelda movie, like, which game you set it in. Because in some ways, A Link to the Past is super iconic. Breath of the Wild is the most accessible.
I think it makes sense to just tell a new Zelda story.
I think you're right.
Because that's what every iteration of Zelda is anyway.
Every iteration's a new story.
Yeah.
Every story is an opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So just because otherwise you're compressing, 40 to 60 hours of story into 2 hours. It's not gonna
I don't know that Breath of the Wild has 40 hours of story in it, though. It has a lot of climbing rocks.
Even on Link to the Past, there's got to be at least 12 hours of story. Come on, there's some amount of story.
There is. So yeah, doing something fully original would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but you could do Link to the Past.
You could do Majora's Mask.
Link to the Future. You could do Seasons and Ages and release 2 films at the same time.
Yeah, honestly, that would be the way to go. I haven't seen anybody do a dual release film lately.
No, and you'd think when they've done Pokemon movies that they should
have a red and blue version.
Right.
Pokemon movie blue. It's like in this one they found Weedle at the beginning.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm gonna need torches for that, aren't I? That's gonna be a mob spawner at night. Spider-Verse technically has 2 theatrical cuts. That's fair.
Yeah.
They're
not advertised as such, and you're not able to. You're not able to choose really.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could call the box office and say, "Are you showing version 1 or version 2 of the film?"
Mm-hmm.
And probably most of the employees wouldn't know anyway.
Yeah. Awkward One says they actually did split the Pokemon movies for black and white. One had Zekrom and one had Reshiram. They haven't done it again, though. They're like, we learned our lesson there. Well, I mean, I gotta say, Detective Pikachu was a great movie.
It was surprisingly good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're making another. I know they just released a new Detective Pikachu game.
Yeah.
Or a remake of the whatever.
I was gonna say, what's Ryan Reynolds up to? Are they doing a new Deadpool soon?
They're doing a new Deadpool. They brought back Hugh Jackman for that to play Wolverine.
Oh,
he's
nice.
been playing Wolverine since 1999.
Yeah.
24 years.
I mean, Wolverine is one of the oldest X-Men.
He is, and he's functionally immortal.
Yeah. That's. I would say Wolverine is a good example of a character that's functionally immortal.
Right.
He's nearly impossible to kill, but like in theory, if you blasted him into the sun, he would die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas,
We'd
like,
have to try it, but
wait, the question for me, the idea of is someone functionally immortal or actually immortal is if they are thrown into a star, are they dead or trapped? right?
Yeah.
If you're just like, oh, this is gonna suck trying to get out of here,
Yes.
then you're actually immortal.
Well, because like, if you're actually immortal,
Yeah.
and you're just let go in space,
Mhm.
you can't swim through space.
No.
There's no, unless you have some kind of propulsion.
Well, I mean, in theory, you could use solar pressure over time.
Okay.
You could basically spread your body and you could expand and contract your arms and go into a ball or try
Okay.
to steer yourself with
Oh, I see.
solar pressure, which is slow.
Sure.
But if you're actually immortal, you could do it.
You could do it.
It would not be fast.
Yeah. You're gonna miss a lot of meetings that you had planned.
Yeah, you're gonna miss so many meetings. A lot of people are gonna be really disappointed with you. But yeah, that's the other thing. Is that the characters in the Sanderson books that are functionally immortal are generally pretty clever about avoiding being trapped because chances are they have been in some way in the past and they don't want to do it again.
Wow.
So ageless versus unkillable, invincible versus immortal. Yeah, you couldn't Vince Wolverine, but you could definitely throw him into a star.
Sure.
Tuanis PV says Wolverine would die in a star, but Superman would neither die nor even be trapped. I guess Superman could, in theory, kind of start trying to move enough to, slingshot out or something. Yeah, the gravity.
Well, we've seen Superman fly through space before.
He can definitely fly through
some kind of
space.
natural propulsion, but there's so much gravity inside of a sun, right?
Yeah, that's the thing I'm worried about.
How do you escape that amount of force?
I don't think you fly
I don't
straight
know.
out. I think you need to work with it. Laura Morgan says, Joe, will you be playing Mario Kart with the gang today? Marty mentioned he wasn't sure if you were coming. I don't think that
you in a
their
gang? I
schedule
haven't
is going to
heard of
line
this.
up
Yeah.
with mine, unfortunately, today.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Scully says, hey, Joe. Hi, Quinn. Hey,
Scully?
that's Pujol's wife. We're actually going to be hanging out with her on Sunday. So glad to see you. Looking forward to hanging out this
Yeah,
weekend.
that'll be fun.
I'm assuming Pujol told you that we're doing that. But you're both invited.
Surprise!
Surprise hangout. Yeah, we're excited. Awesome. Yeah, it should be fun. Okay, great. I'm one of those people, sometimes people I'm dating or whatever will be like, yeah, we're going to this on Friday. I'm like, okay, sure. And then, they told me, but I didn't, register it or write it down. And then
Sure.
Friday, Thursday, I'll be like, do we have anything going on tomorrow? Do we want to go to the Belcourt? Should we blah, blah, blah? It's like, no, Joe, we have this other thing that I
Joe,
told
we
you
have
about 2 weeks ago. It's like, oh, okay.
We've always had plans.
We've always had plans, Joe. We've always had plans.
Yeah, I mean, that happens to me. Mainly because I don't have... You have a child. You're locked into, a school
oh,
schedule.
the school
I don't have
schedule is
any
the-
idea what day of the week it is most of the time.
Oh, yeah, if I don't know what day of the week it is, I can't drop her off at school or pick her up at the right times. It's like a whole thing. Scully says, yeah, we're both like that, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my fiance and I have, a shared calendar. So it's like, oh, hey, because, even for stuff that we're not both going to, just like as reminders, like, oh hey, I'm not going to be available to hang out on this day because I'm going to a show or whatever. Rex Verdi says it depends on the star for Superman. A red star wouldn't enable his powers, but a yellow star would make him stronger as he absorbed the energy from it. Oh, that's true. Superman could escape from our sun more easily than other stars.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Oh, yeah. And in theory, being that close to the sun, he'd be even more powerful. So he's got that going for him.
He really should kind of like, set up shop closer to the sun, right?
Yeah. Like,
There's probably a lot he could be doing on the second rock from the sun.
mm-hmm.
The first rock from the sun.
Joju says there's a comic where Superman moves the sun. Okay. So, yeah, I guess that's fine. Cavman says blue stars make him even more powerful. Oh, yes, because Superman's problem was he wasn't powerful enough.
He wasn't powerful enough.
Yeah. His power
what
is
kind
he has
of
all the
ramifications does moving a sun have? Like, unless it was already being moved and he had to move it back. Like, but even that seems ruinous. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Well, and I will say that's actually one of the things that's interesting in the Mistborn books is like that in the past somebody moved the planet and that was a mistake.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of the book explore how inconvenient it is to live on a planet that somebody moved to the wrong orbit.
Yeah. It's not fun.
Yeah, it's like this is not good for society. This is not good for people. Like,
Yeah, if you ever woke up on the wrong side of the bed,
yeah.
it's like that on a global scale.
Yeah. Mahi says Superman doesn't even technically need to eat. He can just metabolize solar power. Interesting.
Wow. Now here's the thing: is like if someone were destroying our sun irreversibly.
Uh-huh. Oh, well, Superman would reverse it, obviously.
No, I'm suggesting perhaps he find a similar enough sun and transport it.
He could bring a new sun here.
Right, he'd have to assess like whatever solar system he's taking it from. If he's depriving whole civilizations of life and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Doctor Who thing where they move 17 planets. It's like, yeah, if you actually have enough pilots for the TARDIS, you can do a lot with it. Because it was designed to be piloted by 6 people simultaneously, not one person running around.
Right, exactly.
And,
it was stolen.
Stupid star thieves.
Star thieves. Where are we rotationally?
Rotationally, we're 90 degrees angular, which puts us 90 even away from our next milestone, where Quinn will perform Jolene.
That sounds pretty good.
It does sound pretty good. Yeah. Oops. These are too high. I might have overdone it a little bit here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There we go. Okay, cool. That's the saucer, so we don't care about that right now. Yeah, I'm actually, I'm at the point in the year where it's like, maybe it's time to cancel Paramount Plus, because,
You watched everything you needed to.
I watched everything I needed to. I really liked, Lower Decks, but they unfortunately only get 10-episode seasons, which is, like, not enough, in my opinion. Like,
No.
like, I understand why, you know, for something like Strange New Worlds, where they're trying to do, like, a 1-hour drama,
Right.
maybe, but, like, it feels like if you're doing a 23-minute show, you could do more than 10 episodes.
Oh, totally.
Um,
And you could employ your staff, your crew,
mhm.
you know, for the whole year, rather than, you know, and this was something that was discussed heavily
Mhm.
during the writers' strikes.
Yeah, people aren't having, like, year-round employment.
Exactly. People are put into mini rooms, and they're just there for 6 weeks, and then what else am I supposed? How else am I supposed to pay the bills?
Yeah.
You know, because even hour-long shows used to be 22 episodes a year, 26 episodes a year.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have that anymore.
Yeah, like Studio 60 had, like, 22 episodes, and it was 43 minutes.
Yep. Yeah.
Gusty Gale says, did you see the Strange New Worlds Lower Decks crossover? You know, we actually didn't get to talk about that during the strike, but now that it's over,
we both saw it.
it was very
It
good.
was so good.
I was very impressed.
I was really happy with it. And also, like, thank God that we are now in a world where we're hiring people of color to voice characters of color.
Yeah, so you
on
could have Tawny
cartoons.
Newson actually playing Mariner.
Yes, because even up till like 5 years ago,
Oh, I
that
mean,
was an issue.
that was an issue with the Cleveland show.
Yeah, it was an issue with the show Big Mouth,
Mhm.
and they recast just within the past couple of years.
Yeah, well, and there was some criticism of Alison Brie playing a Vietnamese person in
The horse show.
BoJack Horseman. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, the actors that portrayed Boimler and Mariner were fantastic. They're also, like, both, like, over 6 feet tall. And so they mentioned that now that
They're from the future.
well, but yeah, they basically
People are taller.
mentioned now that the heights of their characters are canonically, like, proportional to, like, Pike and all that other characters with known heights.
Right.
Shax and Ransom, who are a head taller than each of them, are now canonically like 6'10" or 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
In Lower Decks. Yeah,
Love it.
which is fine.
It's fine.
But, like, okay, there could be a 7-foot tall Bajoran freedom fighter on.
And as you know, as our medicine progresses,
Yeah, it makes
people
sense.
have gotten taller over time,
Yeah, they're.
and they're what 400 years.
Yeah,
into
in
the
theory,
future?
there's no upper limit on human height.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have
We
that.
have 8-foot tall people now.
Yeah, it's just gonna become more common.
Exactly. So something to look forward to.
Yeah.
We all need that. Couple generations down the road.
Yeah. But yeah, I got done with the series and I was like, wait, that's only 10 episodes? And I guess it's always been only 10 episodes, but like 10 weeks wasn't enough. And I think part of it too is that, like, when they did the when they launched the series, I think they put out 2 or 3 episodes at once too. So it was
yeah.
like barely 2 months worth of a show.
It's tough.
It's
tough.
But yeah. Well,
we want more.
yeah, well, Paramount Plus was trying to, you know, justify, like, don't cancel. Look, here's a new South Park special or South Park movie. Which I don't know if you got the chance to watch that.
No, you told me about it.
Yeah. But yeah, basically,
They don't have that show doesn't have a very good record on the.
doesn't have a good
trans
record on a
people,
lot
queer
of things.
people.
Yeah.
And I was discussing this with a friend last night, and the problem is it has characters on the show like Kyle and Stan,
Mm-hmm.
who they frame as like morally correct or morally just people,
Mm-hmm.
and so And so and they're kind of the mouthpiece of the creators.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're teaching the lesson at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So the show hasn't aged well because of that. Versus, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia or Curb Your Enthusiasm, where the main character has always been framed as a horrendous individual.
Mm-hmm.
And so anything that they say or do is always taken with a grain of salt. Is always seen as, oh my God, what are they doing? Like, oh, this person's terrible.
Yeah.
Which gives the show more longevity.
Because the show doesn't claim to have any sort of moral superiority.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, Gusty Gale says, geez, there's a lesson at the end of the South Park? Jeez Louise. Yeah, I was...
Every episode, basically.
I was surprised that the moral at the end of this episode... So the episode starts with Cartman being afraid that he's going to be replaced by a black woman, because all these characters are being replaced by black women and people of color in television and whatever.
Right.
And the moral at the end of the episode, basically they had... The idea is that this episode was set in like a multiverse, and the black woman version of Cartman comes to South Park, and it just works. The show actually 100% still works with just Cartman as a black woman.
Right.
And that's what they have to come to terms with at the end. They're just like, Cartman apologizes to Kathleen Kennedy, and it's just like, huh, okay.
I can be replaced, and I probably should be replaced.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. Like I was, you know, and honestly, if I wasn't on the fence about canceling Paramount Plus, I probably wouldn't have watched it. But I was like, okay, Lower Decks is done. Is there anything else in here?
Yes. What is there of value to me?
And they're like, this is brand new. This is what we want you to watch now that Lower Decks is over. And I'm like, I'll see about this, but
yeah, I'll see.
I don't know. I'm dubious.
I'm dubious Joe.
But yeah, I mean, at this point though, I'm kind of like, okay, well, probably gonna. I'm thinking, because like I like to cycle my streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, so I canceled Disney Plus a long time ago, and so it's like, okay, I'll maybe get that and watch Loki season 2, because I really like that. The guy from Heat Vision and Jack, he voiced Heat Vision. Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I really like him in this Loki show, and the guy they have playing Loki is really good.
Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, they really hiddled the jackpot when they hired him to play Loki.
Wow. Wow.
Whoops.
You haven't started the new Loki season.
I started it, and it definitely does not start as strong as season 1. But the thing is, I want to, you know, I'm curious to see what they do with it.
Sure.
But like I said, I'm willing to watch a lot of things because I'm interested in the process of making things, and I want to learn about how people make stuff. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be worth recommending to other people.
Well, in a lot of times you can learn the most from something that's done poorly.
Yeah. Like, when people attempt something bold, you can learn from it. I feel like it's the shows that don't attempt anything bold that there's nothing you can learn from them.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Attempt something bold.
Yeah.
And then we can see from there, like, that's a big swing. I would have done this instead, but you know, they chose what they chose.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Matthew Perry's Mr. Sunshine show is like, it was a bold attempt to do something interesting, because an arena is a big place, you know, and so they had to figure out ways to use the space cost effectively, because they couldn't necessarily put in a real concert every episode.
Sure.
But
well, yeah, you're hiring a lot of extras every episode to even fill. Because a lot of time, what they do is they'll hire enough extras to fill like a quarter of the stadium,
yeah.
and then they'll just move them around.
Mhm.
If they're even still using extras. Now there's a lot of
CG
CGI,
stuff,
yeah, which I don't like.
Yeah, yeah. It was pretty noticeable in Shrek, like that the audience was not real people at the.
I
arena.
agree, and I was a little dubious about how real Shrek himself was.
I felt like the performance of
Because I've seen Mike Myers before. He doesn't look
It's a lot of
exactly like
makeup.
that. It's a lot of makeup.
yeah. So yeah. Have you seen the Broadway version of Shrek? I still have not.
I have not seen the Broadway version of Shrek now.
Yeah.
I have to wonder why there's never been like a Broadway version of The Princess Bride. Still kind of in the realm of fantasy, but it seems like it would lend itself well to a stage thing. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I'm kind of surprised they haven't done a Broadway version of the first Deadpool movie. Because, like, so much of it is them standing around talking.
Yeah.
You know? Like, they had a few big budget, like, fight scenes or whatever, but, like, I remember just how, like, a lot of the movie is just them on an overpass
Oh yeah.
arguing with each other. And I'm like, this is great. This is like a play.
Yeah.
Like, it's
There
very
aren't that many
witty.
locations.
Yeah, it's very few locations.
You know, you're on an overpass. You're at the X-Men mansion,
Yeah.
and then you're at like a shipping yard. You're at his apartment and the bar, and that's about it, right?
Yeah.
That's 5 locations. And get Ryan Reynolds to do it. Get Ryan Reynolds to do 8 shows a week.
I think it'd be cool. I think Ryan Reynolds would be the sort of person. He's like enough of a. He seems like he's interested in pushing himself.
Right.
Like
he would do it.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did it. I would be surprised if he had time to do it.
I think
he's too busy to actually do it, but I don't think he would be.
I
like,
think he
on
would do
principle
it. I
against
think
it.
he would want to have a cast who can improvise with him every night. You know, you have the structure of this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But every time you see the show, it's different. You know.
Oh, like the Oregon Trail show. What was that called? I
have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh,
There was a musical adaptation of Oregon Trail, the computer game.
and at the beginning, the crowd got to pick what the jobs of the people were and what their names were.
Wow.
And so the actors would, like there's a rough story of them. It was called something like the Trail to Oregon.
Okay.
And so the actors would have to remember different names every night.
Oh, it's a Star Kid show.
Yeah, it was a Star Kid show.
Okay.
But yeah, and they would, depending on what jobs they had to do different accents, or they would solve problems differently, and
Yeah, as one does.
yeah. Shello says, "Holy moly, that pinball machine's big. Is it inside the perimeter?" Oh, great question, Shello. The perimeter is actually over here. Dock space. We don't want to fly too far that way because of spoilers. But yeah, dock space and perimeter are over here. Ta-da! And then my base is over this way. It's a pinball machine rising out of the sea all the way to build height. Mahi says the whole leaving the guns in the taxi bit was because of a budget cut. Yeah, there was a lot of budget cuts in there.
Oh, in Deadpool or
In
Trail to
Deadpool.
Oregon? Okay.
Yeah. Was that Kumail Nanjiani in the taxi driver as a taxi driver?
No.
No. Who? It was some actor that was in something that I had seen like right beforehand, and I was like, that's the same time I was watching Silicon Valley, and I remember being like, so maybe it was somebody. I'm trying to remember.
Let me pull up his name.
It was because
He's been in stuff.
whoever that taxi driver was in something else I was watching like right at the same time, and trying to think what it would have been. But I was so excited. I was like, that guy!
Karan Sony.
Okay, yeah, what was he in right around then? Let me pull up his...
He's been in that show Miracle Workers. I don't know if you ever watched that. That has Daniel Radcliffe. He was on Silicon Valley, one episode.
Okay, okay, so he was...
He was on The Grinder.
The Grinder, that's where I knew him from. Yeah, I had just watched The Grinder.
He was...
The Grinder's
He was
so
in
good.
one episode called From the Ashes, and he was actually uncredited on there, but he was in there.
Wait. Okay.
Uncredited just means his name didn't appear in the credits.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean he
But
wasn't
yeah,
there.
no, The Grinder is one of my favorite television shows ever. Because let's see, Deadpool came out in 2016.
Yep.
And The Grinder was in 2016.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's really great.
Yeah, and he was in Deadpool 2, and it looks like he is slated to appear in Deadpool 3.
Yay. Oh, he plays Peter Parker from Patveer Prabhakar from Spider-Man India in the Spider-Verse. That's cool.
That's cool. Hopefully we see more of his character when the film ends.
Yay, can't wait. I really, yeah, I'm so annoyed that The Grinder got canceled.
Yeah, I never watched that show. I know the app still exists, but
Yeah, of all the Rob Lowe's been in a lot of great television shows, but I think that's the best show he's ever been in. Like,
wow, you think it's better
I think it's
than
better than The
Parks and
West
Rec?
Wing, and I think it's better than Parks and Rec.
Wow.
This is not like just me being like, no, this is
This is not hyperbole, Joe.
yeah, like, yeah, because it's got Rob Lowe, Fred Savage, Mary Elizabeth Ellis from
The
Always
waitress
Sunny.
from Always Sunny.
Oh yeah, the waitress from Always Sunny.
Natalie Morales, she's good.
Yeah. Let's see, Hannah Hayes. I'm not sure who does she play. Oh, she plays the kid. She's one of the little kids in the show.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, okay. I guess she's old enough now that she got her own Wikipedia page because she went on to be in other shows and whatnot, but movies. But I was like, I don't recognize that actor.
And one of my favorite directors, Jamie Babbitt,
Mm-hmm.
directed episodes for both The Grinder and Mr. Sunshine.
Ooh.
And,
So if you haven't watched Mr. Sunshine or The Grinder, but this guy's still one of your favorite directors,
she is.
or sorry, what do you know her from?
She directed a great film called But I'm a Cheerleader.
Oh yeah, I saw that in
She,
college.
Uh,
Yeah, because I think I guess you weren't there yet when Elise had a viewing party for that, because that
no,
would
I
have
wasn't
been
there. She directed several episodes. Well, and Natasha Lyonne stars in that movie.
Natasha
And
Lyonne. She's also famous for being in the Time Groundhog Day movie
Russian
show.
Doll,
Russian Doll,
which
yeah.
had many episodes directed by Jamie Babbitt as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
And Jamie Babbitt has just been like prolific in TV directing, especially for a woman. Most
Mhm.
shows still mostly have male directors. But yeah, even recently she has directed 7 episodes of Only Murders in the Building, 3 episodes of A League of Their Own, which was pretty good.
Let's see. She directed 3 episodes of Always Sunny, 8 episodes of Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've probably seen a bunch of stuff. Which 2 episodes of The Grinder, I wonder, did she direct? For the People, that's a good one.
So, it's nice to see women and queer women out there doing things like this.
Oh, these are both really good episodes she directed. Although, one of the things about this show is it only has 22 episodes, but they're all so good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Yeah, people are talking about comedians insulting them if they go to shows, or whether or not they should expect that. I mean,
Depends on the comedian.
I feel like it's
If Joe Hills goes to a comedy show, he will be insulted, whether
Yeah.
they usually insults the audience or not.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of one of those things too, where like to some degree you kind of, it's like if you go to a show that has a splash zone and then you're mad about getting blood thrown at you and like, oh no, it ruined my nice clothing. It's like maybe you didn't read what this thing was before you went to it. Like,
yes.
I'm not
Just
saying
be
that.
prepared for it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's always fine for comedians to mock people in any way, but or like in all ways. But yeah, there's a certain level of expectation there that if you go to a comedy show, you might be mocked.
Yeah.
Like that's part of being in an audience in person versus not being in an audience in person.
Exactly. You know, take it with grace. You can be playful in return as well.
Mm-hmm.
If it seems appropriate.
Yeah. Oh wait, did I already expand this one? No, I didn't. Yeah. Rex says, I got messy being in the front row of the Guar show.
Oh yeah.
Who could have seen that coming?
You know.
Yeah, like, well, it's like in Death Clock where the fans have to sign death waivers
Yeah, you might die.
because so much stuff falls on the audience in every show.
Exactly. It's just bound to happen.
Yeah.
These things happen.
Okay. We're about a half hour from when we usually wrap up, and we are still let's see. We're $90 away from our first milestone song, which was going to be Quinn singing Jolene
By Dolly Parton.
by Dolly Parton, indeed.
One of the fine people who helped us get the COVID vaccine.
Mm-hmm. Gusty Gale says, Death Clock, the most metal of all coffee jingles. Yeah, that was a good episode. I'm so excited about this Death Clock movie. That's something.
Death clock.
Will that be a
You know what?
for television film?
Hold on, I want to go back and I want to answer Joju's question from 2 hours ago. Joju said if you could do the book on, if you could narrate any book on tape, what would it be? And I was like, well, the problem is a lot of those already have good readings of them. But you know what's a
Sure.
book that doesn't have a good reading of it?
What?
Is the final Game of Thrones book. I want to do the book on tape for the final Game of Thrones book. George R.R. Martin and company, if you're watching, I am available for voice work.
And if you need any light music, in between chapters or at pivotal moments, if there are songs in the book, I can do that.
Yeah.
It can be a package deal.
I actually have no idea what to charge for a book on tape. Like, is there is that like a
I would
guild rates
have
thing?
it's probably have a day rate.
What?
And then prorate, like if you're just doing half a day, right? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I would maybe say half a day versus I wouldn't like prorate by the hour, but
That's what I mean.
yeah. What would be a fair day rate? Like, let's say, okay, we're not talking about like valuing me in particular, but like, let's say that Ray Porter is gonna do the next Bobaverse book. Like, what would be he's established as a good book on tape guy. What would be a fair day rate for him to charge? What do you think? And then the question is, how much would I be willing to undercut that in order to get the next Game of Thrones book instead of him?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's look. Cable TV, feature, animation, audiobook. There's no union agreement. I'm just using SAG-AFTRA rates as a reference here.
I appreciate that.
There's
That's a good starting
there's no
point.
union agreements for audiobooks currently.
Mm-hmm.
Rates are set on individual basis per talent and publisher common standard rate. The rates, the SAG-AFTRA member minimum rate for most publishers is $235 per finished hour.
Okay, what would be considered a finished hour instead of an hour?
Well, I'm not sure, but maybe that's in terms of like
Is a finished hour like
an
product
hour
recorded?
of recording.
Yeah,
perhaps?
so if we spend 15 minutes in the studio talking about, okay, here, if they're coaching me,
Yeah, or if
that-
we do 2 takes of the same hour
is that
of material.
is that one finished hour or is
right? That I'm not sure about.
that okay?
If there are any audiobook voice actors in the chat,
Yeah.
please share your wisdom and knowledge.
Rex Verdi says 200 per finished hour is pretty standard. Okay, so Rex, do you know what a finished hour means? Tango says you played yesterday, right? I need you to check your deck. Some cards were lost and picked up in other people's decks. I think you have extras. Okay, I'm gonna send him both of my screenshots here. Feed doesn't like them. Whatever. Screenshots. Okay.
It is each hour of the finished recording. So if the audiobook is 12 hours and your rate is $200 per finished hour, then you'll get $2,400. And hopefully they're not, over directing you to the point where you've worked for so many hours and it's not worth it anymore. You know what I mean?
Tango says, you played yesterday, right? I need you to check your deck. Some cards were lost and picked up in other people's decks. I think there's a good chance you have extra or are missing some compared to your screenshot. It's like, here's both screenshots. I'm pretty sure that's the same cards, just sorted differently. Like, I don't know. Because I logged back in to go through it yesterday, too. Like, hey, Easy Clouds, thank you for the raid. Bum, 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 bum.
Thank you for the rain.
Glad you're here. Rex says, I believe that's per deliverable hour of content, so getting it in one take when possible is key. Usually these take a day or two to record from what I've heard. The bump over 200 goes into the SAG after fund when doing a union-based job.
Yeah, that aligns with what I saw.
Yeah. He's probably just checking to make sure that I ran before the sort of messed up. He's trying to get Doc to check without directly calling him out, says Muscle Bop. Oh, so Doc will be insulted if he's the only one who has to check. I see what you're saying. So, okay, Joe Hills has to check, even though he's proven already that it's fine. Okay, did I leave a bunch of scaffolds back here, too? Oh, that's empty. So I have some empty ones here. Fireproof potions, torches. No more scaffolds, though. I might move some of this stuff topside. 14 shulker shells. Actually, yeah, we'll leave those as well as this. Oh, no, we'll leave the coal down there for torches. Yeah. I mean, I did notice that there was like 1 or 2 mistakes in the entire Mistborn trilogy audiobook. Or audiobooks. Because there's one point where Elend is called Edlin. But like, it was like one of those things where it's like, they just didn't want to do another. Or maybe they didn't catch it. Because it's so similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing, though, is, like, I've noticed that sometimes when the speaker is supposed to be unclear in the text, the audiobook people who are good at their jobs will already be doing the correct character's voice, even if they might obfuscate it slightly, but they'll be doing the right accent or whatever.
Right.
So... like, clearly they're reading ahead some and, like, highlighting in different colors or at least mentally noting which character's talking when. So you don't have any surprise tongue twisters or whatever in there. Okay. Okay, so that's 15 or 18 blocks wide, but how many blocks? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Wait. Apparently, Jim Butcher will put certain phrases in his books that he knows James Marsters tends to trip over on purpose.
Oh my gosh.
Just to mess with him.
How cruel and unusual.
Dungeon
fun.
open.
That's fun.
Yeah. Okay. Just kidding. says, just kidding. Okay. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. We've got about 15 minutes.
15 minutes left.
90 to the first goal.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Just checking on some things real quick. Yeah, it would be fantastic if y'all would like to support the show. Quinn does have to drive across town here to do these with us.
Yes.
Scheffler's looking good right now. I was just testing to see if I could extend the stream. Is Tango trying to extend my stream or his stream? Is Tango streaming? Or no, oh, maybe Pearl was. Oh,
Our stream?
maybe Pearl. He's probably watching Pearl's stream, and
Oh,
Pearl was probably
okay.
like, because it's late there, or early, Pearly. I don't know. Pearl was probably about to wrap up.
Oh, I see.
Pearl is here getting the shakes. Got it. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So. Cub joins the game. I don't think he saw the just kidding.
Good. Ruh-roh.
Morning, Cub.
Good morning, Cub.
Good morning, Cub. Chris and Chili says, by the way, thanks a lot for recommending the Stormlight Archives. Those books gave me a lot of joy. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, that's another Sanderson series.
Oh.
That's 2 books of 5. Or two sets of 5. Although he's also got some side stories that are now like, it's like, he's like, I'm only doing 5, I'm only doing 5 Stormlight novels per half of the decology.
Sure.
And so these other stories aren't novels, they're novellas. And people are like, I don't know, Brandon, is a 210-page novella still a novella? And he's like, well, the main novels are like 400 pages, so yes. Go.
Yeah, relative. Yeah.
Relatively speaking, these are the short books.
These are the short books.
But yeah, no, because he'll just be like,
little novella.
yeah, he'll just be like, oh, we introduced this character at one point to who showed up with this thing that was helpful, but where did they get the thing that was helpful? Let's explore this.
Wow.
You know, like. Yeah, because sometimes he'll be like, this felt like too much of a Deus Ex Machina. Like, we mentioned that people were out trying to do this, or, you know, that this was a thing that was happening in the background.
And so I had to prove it.
Yeah. Because, like, the thing is, though, you know, it's kind of one of those things where you have, like, when you have global scale conflicts, right?
Yeah.
You know, he'll be mentioning, like, you know, when like the characters and the kings are in meetings, it's like, well, what about this? Oh, these guys over there are working on that. Oh, okay, I don't have time for that right now. And then, you know, toward the end of the book, it's like, hey, those guys that you've, you know, been getting status reports actually achieved their goal. Awesome. Like, that's part of management.
Yeah.
Like,
it just happens.
Hey, that thing we asked them to work on is finished. Here it is, you know. But, like, then he'll be like, but what if we did a whole book about those guys? This isn't exactly a perfect example. I'm like,
Sure.
but it's that sort of thing where he'll be like,
He does that, yeah.
yeah, this background element could be a foreground element.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Rex
They
says,
have a lot of conversations by this tree. What's the history of this tree?
who planted this tree? Mahi Zero Woe says, gotta have your Rogue One to show where the Death Star plans came from. That's true. And Rex Verdi says that the reason he knows so much about audiobooks is he spent some time looking into doing this. That makes a lot of sense, Rex. You've got a great voice for, like, a radio or audiobooks. Yeah, that tracks. That would be a very logical thing for you to do. I would want to do this because I think I would have fun with it, not because I think I'm naturally... Like, you know what I mean? Like some people have, like, that kind of, like, resonant radio voice.
Sure.
And I don't. But hopefully people would still want to listen to books I recorded.
You have a voice of the people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I have
Vox Populi.
Yeah.
That's what they want to hear these days. They want to hear something real.
while I'm real. Joju says, I think Joe has a good voice for narrating.
There you go.
Well, here's what I think. I think people who are used to watching my show are going to find my voice familiar and therefore comforting in a book on tape setting. But I think for somebody who doesn't already know me, if they just like, you know, pull up an audiobook on their app and then like click the excerpt, I think they'd go, why would you book this person for this? Right? I think they would be confused. Why didn't you get somebody like Ray Porter or Rex Verdi, who have great, deep, resonant radio voices? Like, I don't think I sound like an audiobook narrator in the traditional, in the classical sense.
Well, you know, we don't always have to stick to those.
No, I understand
things.
that, and I'm still looking to push into that
which,
eventually.
you
But,
know.
but yeah, like, this is definitely one of those things where Rex is at least born on second base here.
There are like very gendered expectations of what a good voice should sound like.
Yeah, I concur with you there.
You know, even when there's a voiceover for a movie trailer, they're usually hiring a man.
Yeah, they almost always get those like in a world type
Exactly.
of one hero. Yeah, Disney.
And there are women, non-binary people who have voices like that, but I would guess that they're not being hired for those jobs. Not a lot.
Yeah, have you seen Disney had this thing for some awards show where they had like a little skit where they had the 4 like main Hollywood voiceover guys getting in a limo to go to the awards show, and it's them.
And then what? Like the limo blew up, and now they're screwed.
Well, that was actually like people were like horrified watching this. Like, how could you put all 4 of those guys in the same car? Like, do you know what damage you could? They filmed this on a real street. What are they thinking?
We could have lost our guys.
But yeah, it's basically like the guys doing an intro to the awards show while with the film of them like preparing to attend the awards show, where they're like fixing their bow ties in the mirror and being like, at a show where the greatest talents in Hollywood are converging.
I see.
You know, Yeah, Mahi says, I wouldn't be here all the time if I didn't like listening to you talk. Yeah, that's the thing, is like the people here definitely are more inclined to put up with audiobooks from me than other people. And possibly even celebrate them. But beyond that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if someone wants to, like, the final Game of Thrones book, like, if they really want to listen to that book, I don't think your voice is going to put them off, per se.
Well, here's the thing, though, is one of the reasons people like the deep-voiced people is because a lot of people listen to audiobooks sped up.
Uh-huh.
And they can listen at, like, 1.5x easier if it's somebody with a deeper voice.
Oh, I see.
And so there's, like, a technical kind of element there.
Well, these apps need to simply adjust. You can alter
pitch
the
correct.
speed and then pitch correct, you know? It's not that hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say, like, I'm trying to think about film trailers I saw recently where a woman narrated. And the Joan Baez film had a woman narrating. Specifically Joan Baez.
Yeah, that's a little
which
different.
makes sense given the context.
It's a little different. Yeah.
But yeah, it's
doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so I might have done this a little wrong. I'm realizing I was supposed to make these 1 wider, not 2 wider. So at this point, I might just scale up the entire thing slightly, which is like I'd be scaling it up by like 1/17, which is almost nothing. But yeah, one thing, yeah, there was a Murakami audiobook, and this book was like stupid. The Murakami writes really long books, and the book had 2 points of view speakers, right? A man and a woman. And so one thing that was interesting was for that one, they actually got 2 different voice actors or whatever.
That's cool.
And especially, I forget how long this book was, but like, I think I'm not joking. I think that this was like an 80-hour audiobook too. And so it was kind of one of those things where it was called Q-Teen84. Because Q in Japanese is how you pronounce the it's like 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was super long. And so and like the 2 main characters, I think they only intersect paths where they actually talk to each other in like the last chapter.
Oh, I see.
And so then at that point, they have the 2 narrators doing the lines for the 2 different characters, like a play almost, which actually was at the end of an 80-hour experience where you've only heard one or the other talking. It's like, oh, it makes this critical, like, climactic moment in the books even more.
That's really cool. So you listened to all 80 hours?
It was at a point when Karun was like, it came out when Karun was a baby, and I had a lot of stuff to do around the house, so...
The wee baby Karun era.
Yeah, it was right when Karun's mom started grad school, and I was taking the bus to work every day, and so I could listen to it at work, I could listen to it on the bus, I could listen to it while I was, like, cooking dinner and cleaning and stuff, so... But yeah, I almost... How long is... Let me verify this. 80 feels like it's too long. Let me see how long it actually is. But it was long enough, though, where they said in, like, an interview or something that the part of the reason that they had the 2 narrators, like, they're like, oh, we're really glad Murakami had 2 point of view characters here because we couldn't book one person for this long. Like, nobody would have wanted to work on this project. So it was published in... So the printed version of the book is 3 hardcover volumes.
Oh my gosh.
It's like a book that's too long to be printed as one book. But it is like... Like I said, it's the difference between a trilogy and this is just a really long book. This is not a trilogy. This is...
Right. It's one book.
It's one book, but it's huge. Dun, 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 dun. Where is the... Okay, if I go to the audiobook here, Audible, 46 hours. Okay, so not 80, but still 46 hours.
That's a lot of hours.
Pretty
That's
long.
A lot of hours.
Pretty long for an
That's
audiobook.
a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been listening to an audiobook this week that's 6 hours total.
Do you mind sharing the title?
Yeah, it's called "I'm Glad My Mom Died."
I've heard of
It's
this.
a memoir by Jeanette McCurdy,
Mm.
who was a child actor,
Mhm.
and came up against. Well, she worked for a show created by Dan Schneider, who was kind of a known abusive figure in Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
And she had an abusive mother, and so just kind of like it's really interesting listening to it, like because I feel like I've felt for a long time that how child actors are treated and everything around it is pretty harmful, and we can see the results of that in actors who have not done well with their mental health after being child stars, and you know there's a lot that happens, so it's really interesting to listen to.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I think, I'm trying to think. There was a book that's about, to some degree, the author's relationship with her mother, but also about her struggling with trying to get an accurate diagnosis for what she later found out to be autism.
Oh, okay.
Because they initially thought that she was like OCD.
Is this the Scottish comedian?
Yeah,
you told me about?
I'm completely blanking on her name, which is so dumb.
Badger's in the chat. Badger
Yeah,
would
Badger,
know.
if you're here, you're probably like, Joe, you know her name. We watched her on Taskmaster. Sudi, one of the rules is no asking to ask questions. So I'm going to time you out so you have a chance to read the rules. Fern Brady. Thank you, Badger.
Fern Brady.
I knew it. I knew you would know. Yes, Fern Brady. Which is
Kind of like Fern Gully, but not.
Yeah. Badger says, I literally just came into the stream right at this moment. See, this is why we're so great, because
You were summoned.
I will be bad at something and you'll show up and be like, Joe, let me help you not be bad at this. And I'll be like, yay!
This is good. You
This
fill
is-
in each other's
yeah,
gaps.
Mahi says, glad to see some of the child actors I grew up with getting healthy again, like Macaulay Culkin. Yeah, he recently filmed something in Milwaukee and introduced himself. Hi, I'm Milwaukee Culkin. And I think he was doing it to be funny, but
Obviously,
but,
I
like,
would think he knows his
but
name.
yeah, with the way he did the delivery, he kind of did it like, whoops. I'll keep going.
Maybe that's just the proper way to pronounce his name.
Maybe that's how we've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time. It's always been Milwaukee Culkin.
It always has been.
It's Jelly Live says, I love Taskmaster. Oh yeah, Fern Brady had a problem on Taskmaster where every task she's like falling asleep, and they asked her about it in like the segments, you know, because they'll have all the actors on stage.
Does she have narcolepsy? Or
No. Well, the thing is, she was like, well, the problem was that every time that I knew I was going to go film with you guys, I was so excited I couldn't sleep the night before.
Oh.
And so,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so then like she's like falling asleep during some of the tasks. She's just like so tired.
Oh no. Poor Fern.
Yeah, she's really funny on that show though. That was a good season, the Fern Brady season. Had a let me pull up the list of the comedians that were in that season, because yeah, Badger and I watched this when we were on our Canada trip. I preloaded it on the iPad, so when we had downtime. So do they have like a list of which seasons? It was series 14. Okay.
It's a lot of series.
Does it have a list of who was in it? Okay. Yeah, Dara O'Brien, Fern Brady, John Carnes, Munya Chihuahua, and Sarah Milliken. So it's a very strong season. But yeah, I am trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to get these plates working at the bottom of that hold these rings here.
Yeah. How's that gonna work?
Badger says, all wonderful, excellent people. Yeah, it was funny too, because like even though she was kind of falling asleep during a lot of the tasks, like she was just so tired, John Carnes he's not like a dumb guy, but like he just wasn't smart in ways that would pay off with the way, like he would have a problem and then come up with an approach to the problem, and it would just be the wrong approach to the problem, right?
That happens. Yeah.
Which happens, but like it happens so consistently, and he ended up teamed up with Dara O'Brien and Fern for a few of the group tasks, and every time Dara saw him, he was just like, oh no, it's a group task with this guy.
Yeah.
And it was really good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is 16 by default, but we can add an extra one in here. So stretch that +1. Okay, that'll be all right, I think. Well, that's gonna make that slightly off center.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but that's supposed to be bigger. Oh, that'll be okay, actually.
Nobody worry about me.
But yeah, okay. Yeah, Fern Brady's audiobook was really well done. I'm assuming McCurdy read her own book too.
She did.
Yeah, that's
She
one
does,
thing.
and she does very well.
I really like when authors who have a stage presence read their own books. There are some people who cannot read their own books.
Sure.
And they should not read their own books. That's just not where that's not a talent they have chosen to cultivate,
Yeah.
and they need to just accept that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because not only do you need to be able to like read well and speak well to a degree,
yeah.
there is kind of acting involved, you know?
Oh, exactly. But like, when the guy who played Ron Swanson on Parks and Rec had his, he has 2 books at least that I've listened to the audiobook versions of.
Mm-hmm.
Paddle Your Own Canoe, I think, was the first one.
Yes. Yeah.
But like him telling his own story in his own words with his own inflection, there's no like misinterpreting what he meant there. Like, oh, he used the wrong emotional conveyance there. You know,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
him telling his story, Fern Brady telling her own story. Thank you. Welcome, Tactical Assault Pineapple. Just as a reminder, we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/Joe Hills and YouTube Super Chat. We are 90 away from our first goal, at which point Quinn would play Jolene.
Jolene by Dolly Parton.
By Dolly Parton, indeed. Okay.
Yeah, and then the next audiobook I'm going to listen to is Page Boy.
Is that by
written
Ellen
by
Page?
and voiced by Elliot Page, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Elliot
Yeah,
Page.
he does it himself, so.
That's cool. Yeah, that's always cool when people do their own stuff like that, telling their own story. I was gonna say another really good one is I'm blanking on it. Where's my phone? I've got it. It's Clint.
Eastwood.
No, it's Clint.
Mike McClintock.
It's How the Word is Passed by Clint Smith,
Okay.
which is basically he's a historian who traveled to a bunch of historical sites around slavery. And he frames the history of each place in comparison and contrast to the tours that are given there.
Interesting.
So he talks about what visiting each place is like today.
Yeah.
And then he talks about what they share and what they downplay.
Ah.
And he talks about also what it was like to be there, you know, based on historical records, because he's a historian, and that's, you know. So it's kind of gimmicky, but it's also really interesting, though. Like, hearing, like, okay, you know, you go on this tour today, here's what they will talk about, here's what they won't talk about. They really play this up, but they, you know, don't, you know, whereas this was actually a major factor, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because a lot of, like...
And so it encourages kind of critical thinking about when the reader visits places, too.
Yeah, because a lot of, like, sites, like plantations that were, you know, that are now open to the public, and they have tours, and they'll take your money, are still owned by the same families that held people as slaves.
Yeah.
You know, so of course there's a lot of sugarcoating and a lot of qualifying and but they had a lovely life here and they had their own cabins.
Well, it's not all plantations though. He visits other places that are significant in terms of like the shipping and the trading.
Sure.
And like, so, and those places are definitely not owned by the same people, but there are still reasons that people would play up or downplay certain things. And so, yeah, the plantation thing is definitely intuitively obvious, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
But like, yeah, it goes past that.
Right.
And so I would really encourage people to pick up How the Word Is Passed by Clint Smith. And if it was a book that was not told from the first person like that, I would say in most cases historians shouldn't necessarily be reading their own books, right? But because this was about his personal visit and his personal analysis of each site, you know, it really actually brought it to it made it really coherent in a fantastic way. Cohesive maybe is a better word. It had a unifying thing,
Sure.
a force in the but yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Cassandra Peterson read Yours Cruelly, Elvira, as well. That's another great one where it's like, here's the performer reading their own story.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a lot of books where the author doesn't read them. Like, I've got some, you know, King Richard III by William Shakespeare, Player Piano by Kurt Vonnegut. Yeah, they're not reading
They're not
those.
around to record.
No, they're not recording
They're not
those.
available.
Yeah.
They're very busy.
Yeah, very busy. Does Reza Aslan read his own books? He might.
Maybe.
Title details. Yeah, he actually... But the thing is, though, he's also somebody who's, like, a public lecturer.
Exactly.
And so, like, I saw him first on, like, The Daily Show, like, back in, like, 2003 or something. And, like, the guy knows how to, he knows how to have a stage presence, you know? But yeah. Not all academics should read their own books.
No.
It's Jelly Live says, when I visited colonial Jamestown, they overlooked the history of the native people that had lived in the area a lot, which rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yep, that's going to be a
that's
recurring
gonna
theme in
happen.
American history. Yeah.
That's yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like when we lived in Pennsylvania
Yeah.
for a few years, there was a school trip to some sort of... It wasn't like colonial... or it wasn't actually colonial Jamestown, but it was like that sort of place. There was some, like, old-timey town where they, you know, had the blacksmith and stuff.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
It was like a colonial Williamsburg or... But even... I think colonial Williamsburg is also in Virginia, but it was something like that. But
It was like colonial Allentown.
Yeah.
Colonial Scranton.
Yeah. Colonial Pennsylvania experience. Let's see. Living history site. Oh, it actually might be called Colonial Pennsylvania in Newton Square, Pennsylvania.
Delaware County. Probably would
Yeah,
be
they do field
close
trips.
enough.
This might have been the
for
actual
field
one
trip.
we went
That was
to.
probably it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like at least William Penn tried not to be a jerk to the natives. Like, a lot of the people who worked for him and succeeded him were worse, unfortunately. But yeah, I think of the state founders, I think the Quakers were some of the best, which is still not, you know, they still got a lot of things wrong, but
Sure. They were still colonizing and taking land, probably.
there's Jen.
But they were being nice about it.
Well,
Which
they
doesn't make it better.
Well, they at least like believed that they were talking to people, like, which is a low bar.
Yeah, it's a
but-
low bar. Yeah.
But it's a bar that they at least cleared.
Sure.
Okay, let's go up here. Okay, so if this is now 17, So 16 plus 1
I
blocks.
am 16,
So that's
going on
we need to go out
17.
2 on either side there. We need to break that torch. Oh, this is my sister Quinn. My fiance Badger Spanner is not here. Although maybe in chat.
I'm only Joe's partner in matters of business.
Yeah, musically partners, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And I did move to Nashville.
Yay. Well, Badger's moving to Nashville too.
What?
That's in America. Okay, so we're gonna go up here. Okay. Can I reach? Yeah, I can reach from there. I did not, like, I knew that this scaffolding would take a while,
Yeah.
but I did not realize how much this was gonna...
Yeah.
I was like-
Badger says we were also partners in timeshares of our mother's womb.
True.
True. We
Dang
do,
it, that
we do
torch is
share
not-
that in common, I suppose. There have been people when we're out in the world who mistake me for Corinne's mother or
Yeah, no,
or Joe's daughter. Happened once.
yeah, no, they asked me if Quinn and Corinne are sisters once. I'm like, how old do you think I am? And they're
Well,
like,
and also, how old do you think I am?
Well, and this was like a bartender too, so they knew that you were old enough to drink and that I was old enough to drink.
Right. It's not like a 9-year-old was like,
Are you
"Are you Quinn's dad?"
No, it's like this is somebody that we talk to like once
This
or
is someone
twice
who
a week.
contributes to society.
That we this is who has like known us for months.
Yeah.
It's like okay.
Yeah. It's kind of a compliment to me and an insult to you, I guess.
Yeah. Is chill step working and decked out? Who can say?
But people don't. You might have like a Paul Rudd or Keanu Reeves thing going on. You might be.
Yeah.
You might be 50 or 60. I don't know.
I mean, I thought George R.R. Martin was 50, so clearly I'm not good at this sort of thing.
Exactly.
I'm not good at knowing how old I'm supposed to look.
Look older, Joe.
Yeah. Apparently, Pearl just died in the dungeon.
Oh. Rip. We will remember you fondly, Pearl.
Does anyone remember when the moon was pearlescent? Down into the dungeon she went and didn't survive, hidden by a sonic shriek. It was really loud, all the microphones peaked. Woohoo!
Does anyone remember Pearl?
Does anyone remember? Do you recall?
I remember Pearl. It's Jelly Live says Quinn is timeless.
Thank you.
Thank you. Functionally timeless.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not actually timeless.
So it is getting a little bit late here. We probably need to do last call for tips sooner or later. Hope y'all have been enjoying the show. If you have, tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. So once again, don't forget that Quinn has a single dropping tomorrow. That I'm going to post a link to, even though it's pinned.
It's pinned, but
What's the name of that single, Quinn?
it's called A Prayer for Nobody.
Woo!
It's gonna be out on all the major music platforms.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Bandcamp, quinnhills.bandcamp.com.
Alrighty, and if you wanted to hire Quinn to make music, you can do that at redactedhills.com.
Redactedhills.com.
If you want to find Quinn and like, you do a lot of photos of you and your cat and stuff, and other. What else goes on Tumblr?
Thoughts? Snippets of song demos?
Okay.
Anything, you know?
Tumblr.com/Quinn Hills. Streaming. Do you have any streams coming up that you can announce schedule?
I won't promise anything, but I would like to do something tomorrow to celebrate the release of the single. So
Ooh.
be on the lookout on my Twitter account to see if I post about a stream.
That'd be fun. I guess I don't really need to go down here too much. But... Okay, and then welcome Winterbug.
Do you have anything coming up that
well,
you'd like to?
I should mention I'm going to be at PAX Unplugged.
What?
In Philadelphia. I'm going to be doing a panel and a signing along with Vintage Beef.
Now, are all of the panels in very small rooms or very acoustically well designed rooms?
We're going to be in the Mothman Theater, which is going to be live streamed. We're
but
one
I
of
thought
the
it was
main
unplugged.
theaters. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's called PAX Unplugged because it's the non-video gaming PAX.
Oh, I see. Board games, tabletop RPGs,
card games, trading card games in particular. Something that
Whoa.
we're bringing to the table, the gaming table. So, yep.
That's very exciting.
Hopefully, some folks will come out and see us.
I would
there.
say I hope to see you there, but I'm not going.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I get it. Philadelphia's expensive. Yeah. It's a shame, like, when Andrea lived there, we get to see Andrea every year, but not so much now. Womp womp.
Womp womp. Don't you have a friend who's an author there?
Andy Buchanan, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she's still in Philadelphia. A lot of people...
Worth checking into.
Yeah, I should follow up. But, yeah, Mothman Theater does sound amazing. We're gonna be it's one of the theaters that actually has like microphones and cameras for live streaming. So they gave us
Plugged.
Yeah, they gave us some pretty primo spots. I'm very excited about that. So yeah, you can definitely if you're in the Philadelphia area, Sunday is the day that they have discounted kids badges. So if you were like, oh, I can't afford these 3-day badges for me and all my kids badges on Sunday are $13 for a single day badge. So maybe if you're tight on money and you have a lot of kids, don't worry about the 3-day. Just do a day trip into Philly. Come see us for the signing and the panel. Beef and I will be so delighted to meet y'all to sign things.
Yeah, Sunday's the best day to go to anyway.
Yeah. So, yeah, I will say Friday and Saturday, I'll be hanging out in open gaming, playing some TCG with people. I'll be posting my schedule so that people can find it. Probably actually at joehills.net/soon, because that's always the best place to find out where and when I'm gonna be.
Yeah, look at that. There's a whole calendar.
I need to remove that Music City Multicon.
That has come and gone.
That has come and gone. Okay. So, let's see. Okay. Just checking any last comments coming in. I think we are ready to wrap up. It has been fantastic hanging out with y'all today. I hope you had a enjoyable morning.
Yeah.
Until
next time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, any final words, Quinn?
No.
Until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee, joined by Quinn Hills, also from Nashville, Tennessee.
Correct. Keep
adventuring. Woo! Oh, wait, we forgot to raid somebody.
Ah!
Oh, okay, hold on. Dang it. You're just
I need to... Yeah.
Yeah.
I need a break. So.
Okay, I'm gonna raid Pearlescent Moon.
Bye, everyone.
Who's in the dungeon, so I
Thank you
can't
for your
actually...
time.
Yeah.
I don't accept.
We're gonna slash raid Pearl. Okay. Whoa, that was a lot of stuff falling over. You okay?
Yeah, are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Everything's fine. One new raid. Clicking raid now as soon as we can. Waiting for the raid thing. I knew I was forgetting something. Here we go. Raid and Pearl. Bye.